Chapter 1346. Perhaps. Fortunately, after so many years, Zhu had already accepted these matters. Whether or not he could be completely released would depend on the will of the heavens. If something like this were to happen during the first 1,000 years of being sealed, it would give him hope but disappoint him in the future. The consequences would be very serious. After so many years, he understood one thing. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. From the very beginning, he did not have much hope in this matter. After all, he had the most say in the strength of a sealer. How could a little saint who had experienced the Tao fruit be able to break the seal of the eternal life realm? Seeing the disappointment that flashed across Zhu's face, Yi Xiang's heart softened. He extended his hand and patted Zhu's shoulder, comforting him. "It's all right. Although I don't know what you're talking about. I believe that nothing in this world is impossible for a determined person. It's only a matter of time." Zhu and Lin Rei were stunned when they heard those words. However, in the next moment, Zhu smiled. A trace of a victorious smile flashed across his eyes. I'm too pitiful. Look, if that's the case, don't you think you should take me as your master? Don't worry. Emperor also knows Lin Rei's sword technique. Don't worry, it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. However, even though he said those words, he was secretly begging for mercy. He secretly transmitted his voice to Lin Rei. "Lin Rei, you've spoken your mind just now. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" When he saw Zhu looking at Yi Xiang with a face full of smiles, he instantly lost his temper and compromised. After all, he still felt guilty about the previous matter. "Tell me, what do you want? Let's make things clear first. I've just obtained these 20 million high-grade netherworld jades. It's absolutely impossible for me to give them to you. Medicinal pills, weapons, formations, talismans. I'll give you whatever you want." This was the best thing that he could offer at the moment. After all, Yi did not have anything better than this. Besides, he believed that Zhu's things would be much better than his. Just these? A trace of disdain flashed across Zhu's eyes as he looked at Lin Rei. "What the hell? What do you mean? You don't like me?" He had naturally sensed the disdain in Zhu's eyes, causing him to feel a heavy blow in his heart. When had there ever been a time when his things were highly sought after, yet they were now being disdained by an old thing? The uncle could tolerate it, but the aunt couldn't. As if sensing the rising anger in Lin Rei's heart, he suddenly smiled and went straight to the point. "I have no use for those things of yours. You heard it just now, my little disciple wants to learn your myriad sword art. You see, the emperor won't, you say?" As he spoke, he reached out and tapped the table lightly. Lin Rei's heart began to beat like a drum. The myriad sword art was one of the few sword arts that he was most comfortable with out of all of them. He turned his head and looked at Yi Xiang with some kind of expectation. In the end, he nodded helplessly. "You old thing, I really can't do anything about you." As he spoke, he reached out and tapped his forehead. Suddenly, a thumb-sized golden ball of light appeared at the tip of Lin Rei's finger. "Old thing, this is my comprehension of the myriad sword art and my own comprehension of the realm. This time I'll let you off easy." As he spoke, he reached out and tapped Zhu's forehead. Suddenly, the inheritance of the myriad sword art began. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Beside Zhu's ears, the sound of swords suddenly rang out. Of course, it was only limited to Zhu. Yi Xiang and the other people present couldn't hear it all. They didn't even know what it was. Myriad sword art. Feeling the sword art and comprehension that was sent into his mind, he suddenly had a deeper understanding of Lin Rei's generosity. If he knew earlier, this kind of comprehension was the most precious thing. Even master and disciple wouldn't be able to share this kind of comprehension with each other. But now, Lin Rei actually, for a moment, the gazes that looked at Lin Rei were a little different. You should be able to learn the myriad sword art very quickly, but he ignored the strange look in Zhu's eyes. When he thought of his own mission, he didn't want to give up on such a simple mission. Even more so, he couldn't let go of the mission's reward. "What? I've given you the myriad sword art and comprehension, but you have to help me with something. Otherwise," as he spoke, his fingers slowly moved away from Zhu's forehead. The light of inheritance slowly weakened. The originally smooth inheritance started to become intermittent. It even showed signs of disappearing. Suddenly, Zhu became anxious. There were some things that he needed to hand over. Only then would he be able to successfully accept Yi Xiang as his disciple. Therefore, tell me, what do you want? Sure enough, once Zhu said those words, a smile appeared on Lin Rei's face. He said, "Let your disciple participate in the Sword Sect's entrance test. As long as he is able to enter the Sword Sect, you could do whatever you want after that. Even if you let him withdraw after he enters the Sword Sect, the prerequisite is that he must enter the Sword Sect. That is one of the conditions that I've proposed. In that case, if you agree, I will continue. Furthermore, I will refine medicinal pills that will increase your disciple's cultivation without any side effects. What do you think?" Hesitation appeared on Zhu's face. Originally, when he heard that his disciple had to join another sect, the flames of anger in his heart had surged. However, when he heard the words medicinal pills without any side effects, he hesitated. After all, Yi Xiang's current cultivation was too weak. If he wanted to quickly increase his cultivation, the only thing he could do was to use medicinal pills. Of course, there were other methods. However, those methods were extremely slow and dangerous. Therefore, are you sure? As long as he leaves the sect, you won't care? Zhu confirmed. This was the first time that he had encountered such a condition. After all, he had seen people use such a thing to extort heavenly treasures. However, he never imagined that it would be like this. Lin Rei noticed the confusion in Zhu's eyes. However, he had no intention of explaining himself. "That's it. What do you think? Do you agree or not?" "I agree. Why wouldn't I agree?" As soon as Lin Rei's voice fell, Zhu's voice rang out. "As long as you help my disciple refine medicinal pills and refine a handy longsword, the Emperor will consider your conditions." The smile on Zhu's face was not temporary at all. He was clearly telling Lin Rei that he was very happy, When he saw Zhu's complacent look, Lin Rei gnashed his teeth in hatred. If it was not for the fact that his strength was no match for Zhu's, he would have charged forward and given him a good beating. "Deal. All right." The two of them reached an agreement. Immediately, Lin Rei's inheritance continued. Not long after, the inheritance ended and the two of them returned to their senses. "What do you think? Do you know any sword arts?" Suddenly, the moment Zhu woke up, a questioning voice rang out from the side. "You brat." Zhu stared at Yi Xiang as if he was a child that could not be taught. If he had not taken a liking to Yi Xiang's talent, he would not have lowered his voice. Chapter 1347. Why did you hit me?" Yi Xiang felt a sharp pain in his head and saw that Zhu had just retracted his hand. There was no doubt that it was him. "Little guy, let me teach you a lesson. Never underestimate your master." As he spoke, he casually waved his sword fingers toward the table in front of him. Suddenly, as he waved his sword aura surrounded him. Then, the sword aura surged towards the place where his sword fingers pointed. With a bang, the table was instantly shattered into pieces. This is... He had seen the 10,000 sword technique before, so he recognized the move just now. It was a move of the 10,000 sword technique. If that was the case, plop plop. Without saying anything else, Yi Xiang stood up and walked towards Zhu. He began to kowtow and recited, "Master, please accept 3 kowtows from your disciple." Plop plop plop. The sound of his kowtows was real, and there was not the slightest bit of exaggeration. In response, the smile on Zhu's face could be twisted into a flower. His appearance was as despicable and wretched as it could be. Lin Rei could not bear to look at him. "Good disciple." "Huh." An unrestrained laughter came from Zhu's mouth. He did not hide his loud voice at all. It was as if he was telling the whole world that he, Zhu, had a disciple. However, at the same time, in the living room of the city lord's mansion, Lu Ding and Wang Yu were sitting face to face. Both of them looked very serious, as if they had encountered a difficult problem. "How is the secluded valley?" Looking at Wang Yu, Lu Ding wanted to say something, but stopped. Hearing Lu Ding's words, Wang Yu raised his head and looked at Lu Ding. He nodded sadly and said in a deep voice, "This matter might have to be brought forward. I just received news from the Sect that the Grand Ancestor is going to personally open the Dragon Spring secret realm. So, the original time has been canceled and a new date has been set." Oh, then when? Inexplicably, a bad premonition rose in their hearts. "The day after tomorrow." "What?" Lu Ding screamed and jumped up from the chair. His face was full of anger. "The day after tomorrow? How can we make it in time?" Looking at Wang Yu, Lu Ding questioned. "From Huanghui City to the valley, even with the fastest speed, it would still take 7 days. Now, the time had suddenly been brought forward by a few days. How would he accept this? Now, even if they set off now, it would be too late. Moreover, they were not prepared yet. Everything was disrupted in this passive state. Everything was disrupted just like that." Sigh. Looking at Lu Ding's crazy appearance, Daylily could not help but sigh. There was no other way. Once the Grand Supreme took action, even he had no ability to change it. Therefore, this matter was basically a foregone conclusion. Thinking about how unfair it was to Lu Ding, it was very obvious. What should we do? The geniuses of Huanghui City haven't moved yet. Now, Longqua of the Deep Valley wants to start. What is the meaning of this? Are you deliberately excluding us? He didn't understand why the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm had suddenly been brought forward and why it was at this time. What made him even more curious was why the Grand Elder of the Deep Valley, who had been in closed-door training, suddenly appeared at this time. Moreover, what kind of realm had the Grand Elder of the Deep Valley reached? He had no way of knowing. He only knew that when he first met the Grand Supreme, that invisible pressure made him a little breathless. Actually, seeing his good friend of many years suffering, Daylily finally couldn't take it anymore. He didn't want to see him like this. Actually, it's not that there is no solution at all. Boom! Just when he had completely lost all hope, Daylily's words suddenly reignited the flame of hope that had been extinguished. He took a step forward and grabbed Daylily's arms tightly with both hands. His eyes were filled with excitement as he stared at Daylily and asked, "Tell me, what other solution is there? The hope of Huanghui City's promotion lies on you." Thinking about how the geniuses in the city would work hard to improve after entering the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm and obtaining their own opportunities, he saw that the name of the 9th grade city would become 8th grade. He was confident, and he was about to do it. Sigh. Sighing, he shook his head and said, "The senior that we met previously. Although I don't know how powerful he is, I'm sure that as long as he is willing to help, then it will be more than enough to make it in time for the opening of the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm." Lu Ding looked at Daylily in disbelief. He really couldn't understand why Daylily would suddenly think of that killing god. However, really, he wasn't sure if it was true. He only knew that the other party was very powerful, at least much more powerful than him. "Yes, I am sure." Lu Ding's ugly face relaxed. Perhaps subconsciously, he chose to believe in Lin Rei. However, it wasn't the case in reality. Lin Rei, who was far away in the restaurant, didn't know what was going on. He also didn't know that Lu Ding had his eyes on him. At this moment, Lin Rei had already paid the bill and returned to his room. The red flaming tiger was sitting cross-legged in front of Lin Rei, holding a teacup and drinking tea. "Brother Lei, how many years have we been here?" Suddenly, the little dragon spoke. "For years. What's wrong?" He looked at the red flaming tiger in confusion. He didn't understand why the red flaming tiger would say that. Moreover, it was too sudden. As if sensing Linley's puzzled gaze, a smile appeared on the flaming tiger's face. "I miss home. I miss Xiaoyu. I miss Big Brother Tian. I miss my little brother. I miss everyone. Where are they?" Images of each and every one of them flashed across his mind. Their smiling faces made him feel very warm. They were all his family, brothers, friends, and even his wife and children. Sigh soon. Lu Ding sighed. To be honest, he really didn't know when he could leave. After all, this was the empty underworld region, not their sacred world. If he wanted to leave this place, he would have to complete the mission or even get the chance to be teleported back. "Little tiger, you should cultivate well during this period." Lin Rei quickly changed the topic. He didn't want to continue talking about such a heavy topic. During this period, I have been looking for the bloodline grass. As long as I can get it, the problem of your advancement will be completely solved. Who knows, when the time comes, your cultivation might be stronger than mine. Who knows, I might even need you to protect me at that time. Hearing this, little Tiger was stunned. He said seriously, Brother Lei, don't worry. When the time comes, I will definitely not bully you. Lin Rei, inexplicably, when he heard this, a bad premonition arose. Chapter 1348. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. Ever since Yi Xiang had been accepted as Zhu's disciple, Zhu had not appeared. As for what exactly he was doing, Lin Rei did not know. However, he was certain that this fellow was definitely carrying out a devilish training for Yi Xiang. After all, Zhu's cultivation could be said to be at the peak of the world. As his disciple, how could he be so weak? Therefore, thinking of how Yi Xiang had cried while facing Zhu's difficulties, Lin Rei could not help but sympathize with Yi Xiang. Fortunately, Zhu was not his master. Otherwise, in the room, Lin Rei sat cross-legged. Feeling the slow growth of his cultivation, he could not help but smile bitterly. After reaching this level, wanting to take another step forward was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, unless there was a fortuitous encounter or the support of a terrifying energy. As for the energy within the floating treasure mirror, it was not something that could be obtained at any time. Lin Rei could be said to be constantly studying the floating treasure mirror. However, in the end, he was unable to find out what it was used for. As for that energy, it had never appeared again. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door, and the voice of the shop's waiter sounded from outside. That customer, there's a mister called Daylily outside looking for you. Daylily? The biggest taboo for cultivators was to be disturbed during their cultivation. However, when he heard the two words, Daylily, Lin Rei felt slightly relieved. Could it be that the Dragon Spring secret realm is about to open? Thinking back to what he had promised to Daylily, he felt that it was unnecessary. If he had known that he could obtain so many high-grade netherworld jades from the Alchemist Guild, he would not have gone to that desolate place to compete with a bunch of little fellows who did not even have the time to think about it. So forget it. Since I have promised, I will go and take a look. After thinking about it, he shook his head helplessly. Withdrawing his cultivation technique, he stood up and tidied up his messy clothes. Then, he replied to the door, Go ahead. Tell Daylily that I will go out immediately. Hearing this, the waiter at the door nodded repeatedly. His face was filled with excitement. All right, I will go and inform her right away. A day ago, he had personally seen the president of the Alchemist Guild humbly and respectfully standing before Lin Rei. He did not even dare to breathe loudly. No matter how he looked at it, he didn't have the slightest bit of disrespect for such a powerful existence. Even the report just now had taken him a lot of courage. Inside the room, when he sensed the waiter leaving, he bitterly smiled. How could he not know what the waiter was feeling? Looks like it's time to leave. As he thought about it, he communicated with the crimson flame tiger in the room beside him. Little tiger, stop cultivating. We should go. Okay, got it, Brother Lei. In another room, a young man opened his eyes. A bright light flashed through his eyes as he nodded at Lin Rei. Zhu. He tried to communicate with Zhu's divine sense, but after calling out twice, he didn't receive a response. Suddenly, Lin Rei frowned. What happened? Previously, he had clearly told him not to leave the area within a radius of 10,000 li. So why was he unable to sense his aura? As he thought about it, he instantly released his divine sense. With him as the center, he searched the area within a radius of 10,000 li slowly. Lin Rei's frown deepened. His divine sense didn't miss anything. However, his divine sense couldn't find Zhu's figure. He couldn't even sense Yi Xiang's figure. This old thing. Needless to say, the other party was already out of the range of her divine sense. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door again. This time, it wasn't the waiter, but the crimson flame tiger. Looking at the crimson flame tiger's figure, Lin Rei sighed. He withdrew his divine sense, walked to the door, and opened it. When he saw the crimson flame tiger's human form, the worry on his face disappeared. Let's go. Wang Yu and the rest are here. I think they should be heading to the secluded valley. Okay, let's go. The two looked at each other, turned around, and walked toward the restaurant in the front yard. They weren't very fast and weren't very far away. Soon, they stepped into the restaurant. Looking over, he saw Wang Yu and Lu Ding anxiously looking left and right, as if they had encountered something urgent. Looking at the two of them, Lin Li frowned slightly. He knew a little about their cultivation levels, but he didn't understand what could cause them to be in such a hurry. Enemies? Lin Ray shook his head. It didn't seem like it. If they were enemies, would the two of them still be here? Unable to figure it out, he walked in front of the two and said in a deep voice, "What's the matter? Didn't you say that there's still some time before the Dragon Spring secret realm opens? Why? Only a few days have passed? You're already here?" When he said that, Wang Yu and Lu Ding's faces fell. Their anxious gazes became even more intense. "Senior, it's not that we don't know etiquette. It's just that." Looking at the passers-by, they didn't hide anything and told him the news that they had received earlier. "Senior, you've received news that the Dragon Spring secret realm in the secluded valley will open today, and we can't do anything about it. We thought that it was hopeless, but when we thought of Senior, we hesitated for a long time. In the end, we still came here to ask for Senior's help. The Dragon Spring secret realm isn't just related to the secluded valley. It's also related to the many geniuses in Huanghui City. So, Senior, please help." As he said that, Lu Ding, who was the city lord, bowed to Lin Ray. At the side, seeing Lu Ding like that and Wang Yu being mobilized, a hint of guilt flashed across his eyes. To put it bluntly, it was all because of him. If it wasn't for the Grand Elder of the secluded valley, they wouldn't be in such a sorry state. He also faintly felt that something seemed to have happened in the secluded valley. Otherwise, the Grand Elder, who had been in seclusion for a long time, wouldn't personally come out to preside. Seeing the two of them like that, Lin Ray's eyes flashed. He looked at the red flame tiger and said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what do you think?" Seeing Lin Li's gaze, the crimson flaming tiger was stunned for a moment before coming back to his senses. He slowly said, "I think we can go. As for this Dragon Spring pocket realm, I really want to see what it is. Who knows, there might be something fun inside." Oh, looking at the red flame tiger's face that was filled with anticipation, he finally nodded. "All right, since that's the case, let's go take a look." As soon as he said that, Lu Ding and Wang Yu cried tears of joy. They were just short of giving them a loudspeaker to let everyone know their current state. "You heard it too. I can help you, but the two of us also want to enter the Dragon Spring secret realm to take a look." As he said that, he stared at the two of them, and his expression changed. "Of course, you can disagree, but..." Lin Ray didn't continue. They were all smart people, and there was no need to make things clear. Otherwise, it wouldn't be interesting. As expected, after hearing this, the two of them were stunned. Wang Yu's eyes were conflicted for a long time, but he still agreed in the end. At this moment, he really had no other choice. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like this. "All right, since that's the case, we'll agree to it." Chapter 1349. Lin Ray nodded, but he did not stop there. He continued, "Not only that, you have to fulfill your promise to me." Wang Yu was speechless. He had seen greedy people before, but he had never seen such a greedy and shameless person. If he knew how powerful Lin Ray was, he would not have thought much of it. After all, the person he hired was a saint. "We agree. Of course, we will agree to Senior's conditions," Lu Ding said. Yes. Wang Yu quickly agreed. Now that the matter had been settled, he did not want to ruin the whole thing because of this. Seeing the two of them like this, Lin Ray could not be bothered with them. As long as he got what he wanted, everything would be fine. He nodded and walked outside. "Let's go. I will bring you to the secluded valley." "But, speaking of which, where is the secluded valley?" He paused and turned to look at Wang Yu. He knew about the secluded valley from Wang Yu. He did not know anything about it before. Hearing this, Wang Yu's expression did not change much, but the corner of his mouth kept twitching. Lu Ding, on the other hand, looked as if he had heard something. He completely ignored the fact that Lin Rei did not know about the secluded valley. In his opinion, although the secluded valley was not a big sect, it was still very famous in Lu province. However, now that he saw Lin Rei, he began to doubt the reputation of the secluded valley. Was it because he was ignorant, or was it because the secluded valley was not very famous? Or was it because Lin Rei was so powerful that he did not care to know about it? Of course, only they knew the various reasons. No one could say for sure what the truth was. Senior, the secluded valley is in the east of Lu province. There's a mountain range there, and in the middle of the mountain range is a valley. The scenery in the valley is beautiful, and the dark qi is very dense. All kinds of spiritual herbs grow there. It is no different from a paradise. At this point, Forgotten Sorrow said proudly, "It can be said that the existence of my secluded valley is not inferior to those blessed lands of the large sections. Yes, I can prove it." Even Lu Ding couldn't help but praise. Looking at the two of them, Lin Rei nodded. "All right, since you're in the east, follow me closely. Otherwise, if you fall into the void, don't blame me for not protecting you." As he spoke, he casually drew a space crack in front of him. Suddenly, gusts of wind gushed out of the space crack as if they had found a place to vent. Wang Yu and Yu were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Tearing space apart so casually, what kind of powerful existence was this? However, Lu Ding quickly regained his senses. Senior, this time, it's not only us who will be going. There will also be a group of disciples from Huanghui City. So, how many people? 10, 20. Looking at Lu Ding, Lin Rei couldn't help but frown. He hadn't been in the Dao fruit realm for long, and now he was leading 20 people into a spatial crack. It was likely that there would be problems. Really, there are more and more troubles. He sighed and then said, "Tell them to come here quickly. Remember, I'll only give you 15 minutes. If you don't come here immediately, I'll ignore you." As he spoke, he waved his hand to disperse the spatial crack and returned to the restaurant. Hearing Lin Rei's words, Lu Ding's expression changed. He didn't stay any longer and rushed outside. As for Wang Yu, she didn't go with him. Instead, she followed Lin Rei into the restaurant. "Tell me, what's the situation in the secluded valley and who are going this time? And what's that Dragon Spring secret realm? What's that about?" Wang Yu, who had just sat down and heard Lin Rei's series of questions, wasn't annoyed at all. She didn't have the right to be annoyed. She immediately replied, "Senior, the secluded valley's inheritance is still there. The people who are going this time are all reputable sects in the Lu province. As for the Dragon Spring secret realm, I know very little about it. I only know that the Dragon Spring secret realm existed before the secluded valley was established." Oh, hearing this, Lin Rei's interest was piqued. To be able to establish a sect in a secret realm, the person who established the secluded valley must be a lunatic. Not all secret realms were good. If the secret realm was a spatial crack, who knew what dangers were inside? If a void demonic beast were to appear one day, then the secluded valley would only be left with destruction. Of course, it was obvious that the person who established the secluded valley made the right bet. Not only was the secluded valley not destroyed, it was thriving. However, my cultivation base is a little. Thinking of this, Lin Rei returned to his senses and looked at Wang Yu. "Continue. I heard from the older generation that they once saw the shadow of the dragon tribe in the Dragon Spring secret realm. Some of them even said that it's not just a secret realm in there. There's also a country in there. In there, experts are everywhere. People like me can only be a gatekeeper in there. Of course, I don't know if it's true or not, but there are records of such nonsense in the ancient books in the secluded valley's depository." After hearing Wang Yu's explanation, Lin Rei fell in a deep thought. There was a dragon tribe and a country. If these were all nonsense, it could only mean that those who saw them were blind. If what those people said was true, and there were such things in there, then the outcome would be different. In this way, the Dragon Spring secret realm wasn't merely an existence of a secret realm. Perhaps it was a minor world. Thinking about it, Lin Ray was a little tempted. If he wanted to enter before, it was purely to accompany Little Tiger to take a look. Now, after hearing Wang Yu's words, he really wanted to enter and explore. After all, if that was the case, what kind of existence were those people? Perhaps he would be able to find out who the sealer was inside. He might even be able to find a way to remove the seal on Zhu's body from there. Senior, Wang Yu was stunned when he saw Lin Ray smile, and he asked softly, you can continue. Keeping his excitement, Lin Ray asked him to continue. He really wanted to see what other things or information there were. The Dragon Spring Secret Realm. Not only that, it's also the final destination of us sect leaders. In the history of the secluded valley, whenever a new sect leader appears, the previous sect leader will enter the Dragon Spring Secret Realm and crush the jade pendant left behind by the previous sect leader. As for where the previous sect leader went, no one knows. Perhaps only those who entered the Dragon Spring Secret Realm and crushed the jade pendant left behind by the previous sect leader would know. Precisely because of this, the secluded valley has no foundation at all. Because the experts of every generation will leave, the secluded valley's reputation is only in the Lu province. Looking at Wang Yu, Lin Ray was even more certain that the Dragon Spring Secret Realm was definitely not simple. Chapter 1350. 15 minutes was neither long nor short. Soon, the time limit given by Lin Ray was up. At the same time, Lu Ding, who had left, appeared in front of Lin Ray. At this moment, Lu Ding was not alone. There were 20 young talents following behind him. Their cultivation levels were not bad, and they were the best among the younger generation. Senior, I am back. These are the disciples of Huang Hui City who went to the secluded valley this time. Lu Ding came before Lin Ray and introduced them to him. As for the people who were introduced to Lu Ding, they looked at Lin Li, who was about the same age as Rain and the others. They felt an inexplicable sense of dissatisfaction. After all, as the elites of the younger generation, how could they tolerate the city lord being so humble? Of course, more importantly, they were jealous. After all, who would not want to be respected like Lin Ray? Cough, cough, that Lu Ding could feel the displeasure in the eyes of the people behind him. However, he could not vent his anger, especially in front of Lin Ray. He believed that as long as they saw Lin Ray's means, they would choose to submit or remain silent. Senior, we are now, understood, Lin Ray interrupted. Then, he lifted his head and looked at the young talents who were feeling good about themselves. He said indifferently, in a while, I will send you to a place. Remember, be obedient there. Otherwise, suddenly, a murderous aura burst out from his body and shrouded the crowd. Suddenly, their bodies sank and trembled. They looked at Lin Ray with fear. In that instant, they seemed to have seen a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. They also seemed to have seen an executioner holding a knife to their throats. The cold aura from the knife was unforgettable. As for Lin Ray's unfinished words, the crowd understood and did not question him. Just the horrifying murderous aura was enough to let them know that they were not a match for the person in front of them. Everyone was silent. Lin Ray nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, this is good. As he spoke, he waved his hand. Then his divine consciousness shrouded the crowd and kept them in the system. This senior, the Lu Ding, who had been observing them, panicked when he saw them disappear into thin air. Wang Yu and Hope looked at Lin Ray in confusion. Everything had happened so suddenly that they didn't even have time to react. Don't worry, they're in a safe place. When we arrive, I will release them. He took a step forward, and with a wave of his hand, a crack appeared in the air. Holy spiritual qi rushed out and enveloped Lu Ding and the young man. He then said, Let's go, we don't have much time. After speaking, he took a step forward and entered the spatial crack. Just like that, Lin Ray and the others disappeared from Huang Hui City. The moment Lin Ray left, the original spatial crack instantly disappeared, returning to its original state as if it had never appeared. As for Lin Ray, he did not hide it from the passers-by. Therefore, the moment Lin Ray disappeared, The news spread like a gust of wind in the entire Huanghui city. In fact, the trend did not decrease at all, and it seemed to be spreading to other cities. In a mountain range a million miles away from Huanghui city, a young man with a pale face and covered in blood was fighting with a hell tiger. He looked very miserable. There was nothing bad on his body. His clothes, they were even more unsightly. Other than some important parts that could be covered, the rest of his body was nowhere to be seen. To put it nicely, he was desolate. To put it bluntly, he was worse than a beggar. "Oh, human, you have completely angered me." The hell tiger spoke in human language. His eyes were bloodshot. He raised his front paw and slapped the young man. Huff, huff. The young man panted heavily and squatted on the ground. His face was as pale as paper. He looked very miserable and exhausted. "I say, master, can you do it?" In the distance, a middle-aged man was watching the battle between the young man and the hell tiger closely on a tree that required 8 people to wrap their arms around. Hearing the young man's words, the middle-aged man opened his mouth and said with a smile, "Little Yi, this is only a demonic beast to the lowest level. If you can't even deal with something like this, how can you cultivate the way of the sword? You have also experienced Lin Rei's way of the sword. Don't think that it is easy to cultivate to that level. At that level, you will need at least 10,000 years to catch up." At this moment, if Ruo Lin and Lin Rei were to see the two of them, they would definitely be so angry that they would give them 2 kicks. The two of them were none other than Zhu and Yi Xiang, whom Lin Rei could not detect. Previously, when Lin Rei was probing, he had sensed it. However, with his cultivation, if he wanted to isolate Lin Rei's divine sense, it would be very easy. It was very easy. It was very simple. "Master, you shouldn't have found me, such a ferocious one, right from the start," Yi Xiang cried. Before they came, Zhu had repeatedly said that she would find a very cute and weak one to test his strength. At that time, Yi Xiang was especially glad that he had such a master. However, when he saw that the cute and weak one that Zhu spoke was actually the hell tiger, Yi Xiang was dumbfounded. When he wanted to regret it, he discovered that it was already too late. The hell tiger had already locked onto him. He wanted to escape. However, just as he was frantically running away, an invisible barrier suddenly separated him. There was nothing he could do. As the saying goes, there was a wolf in front and a tiger behind. At this moment, he was in a dilemma and could only fight. He had fought for an entire day and night. Up until now, he had not cultivated at all. If not for the fact that Yi Xiang had been using spiritual medicines to cleanse his body, he would have already become the hell tiger's meal. When he thought of his master, he wished that he could go berserk. However, unfortunately, he was no match for the hell tiger. Thus, this thought of his could only become a delusion in his dreams. Slash. The hell tiger's claw slammed down. Yi Xiang was sent tumbling. Finally, at the last moment, he was able to escape from danger. Unfortunately, although his life was no longer in danger, his body was still left with an indelible injury. Bloody scars appeared on his back. His flesh was badly mutilated. His essence, energy, and spirit had once again fallen to the extreme. Pooh! A mouthful of old blood spurted out. Enduring the pain from his back, he glared fiercely in the direction of Zhu. Gnashing his teeth, he did not call for help. "Old man, just you wait. Wait until this daddy's cultivation surpasses yours. At that time, if I don't light you up and beat you up, this daddy will change my surname to yours." As he thought, his gaze landed on the hell tiger again. Worry flashed through his eyes. There was not much nether chi left in his body. If he wanted to win, it would not be easy. Now, I can only use my wits. There was no other way. He did not have enough nether chi. It was already impossible for him to continue fighting head-on like before. As he thought, his gaze locked onto the hell tiger. He crawled up with difficulty and brandished the sword in his hand. The scene of Lin Rei using the 10,000 sword art inexplicably appeared in his mind. Only sword cultivators needed to press forward without fear of death. This was the way of the sword. Let's hope this move works. Helplessness appeared on his face. Now that he had used all his trump cards, this was the only move that he was unsure of. As the saying goes, succeed or die trying. Right now, there was no other way. Looking at the hell tiger baring his fangs and rushing over, Yi Xiong raised his sword and held it before his chest. His gaze was fixed on the hell tiger. His originally turbid eyes turned cold and sharp at this moment. This 10,000 sword art. In the distance, Zhu, who was constantly paying attention to Yi Xiong, sensed Yi Xiong's strange behavior and his current actions. He inexplicably thought of the 10,000 sword art that Lin Ray had passed on to him. SSS, this shouldn't be. The 10,000 sword art hasn't been passed on to him yet. Zhu shook his head in confusion. He stared at Yi Xiong. This was a test for him. He wanted to experience the feeling of being on the verge of death. This would be beneficial to his cultivation. Of course, Zhu would not leave him alone. It was not easy to get a disciple. He would not be so careless. Die, human. The hell tiger was very close to Yi Xiong. Seeing the stunned Yi Xiong, the hell tiger's interest was greatly increased. He wanted to open his bloody mouth and bite Yi Xiong's head. Looking at Yi Xiong, he saw that Yi Xiong was still indifferent. His sword was held before his chest, and he did not move at all. However, in Zhu's eyes, all of this was different. This brat. I never expected that he would be able to use the sword moves of the 10,000 sword art without learning it. Not bad. At this moment, Zhu was certain that what Yi Xiong was going to use next was the 10,000 sword art. However, Yi Xiong did not disappoint Zhu. With a loud shout, he brandished his sword. Suddenly, an undetectable sword aura appeared. Although it was similar to the 10,000 sword art, it was not as powerful as the actual 10,000 sword art. At the very least, its moves were several levels inferior. Brandishing his sword, Yi Xiong looked at the hell tiger that was very close to him. His gaze was fixed on the scarlet flame tiger's throat. At this moment, there were no other random thoughts in Yi Xiong's mind. At this moment, the only thought in his mind was to kill the hell tiger. Only by doing so would he have the hope to continue living. Only by doing so would he be able to become the person he wanted to be. Go! Yi Xiong brandished his sword. With a speed as fast as lightning, a sword ray instantly flashed past the hell tiger's throat. Puff! A loud explosion sounded. The hell tiger that originally had a fiendish appearance and looked as if he wanted to eat Yi Xiong had a lifeless expression. His body uncontrollably streaked past Yi Xiong and landed not far away. How is this possible? Feeling the pain from his throat, how could the hell tiger not understand what had happened to his body? After Yi Xiong succeeded in his attack, he did not stop. He knew that if he were to stop now, there would only be one ending left for him, death. Without even thinking about it, it was basically a conditioned reflex. The instant the hell tiger landed on the ground, Yi Xiong turned around. With a leap, he directly jumped onto the hell tiger's body. He raised the sword in his hand high up. His gaze was ice cold. A cold glint flashed through his eyes. His eyes were fixed on the hell tiger's head. The tip of his sword was pointed downwards. Poochie! At the instant when the sword came into contact with the hell tiger's head, it did not stop. On the contrary, it very cleanly and nimbly entered the hell tiger's head. Oh! A beastly roar came out from the hell tiger's mouth. His eyes were bloodshot. His eyes were filled with hatred and unwillingness. It was as if he was unwilling to accept this. He had never expected that the human he had underestimated would be killed by the other humans who were running around in circles around him. He pulled out the sword and stabbed it towards the hell tiger's head again. Just like that, after repeating it a few times, the hell tiger no longer breathed. When his body was no longer trembling, Yi Xiong's hand stopped moving. Puff! Perhaps it was because he had just survived a calamity, or perhaps it was because he had been fighting for a long time that caused his body to be exhausted. His entire body was sprawled on the hell tiger's corpse. The sword was not pulled out from the hell tiger's head. The only thing that could be seen was the sword hilt. Finally, it's finally over. A smile appeared on Yi Xiong's extremely exhausted face. President, this one day and one night of battle made Yi Xiong feel as if he had lived a lifetime. To say it bluntly, this was the most bitter battle in his life. There was no other battle. In the distance, when Zhu saw that the hell tiger had been killed by Yi Xiang, her body moved and disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already standing next to Yi Xiang. Zhu revealed a gratified expression as she looked at her disciple. Not bad. You were able to comprehend the 10,000 sword techniques, sword moves at a time like this, even though they are only superficial moves. After saying that, she raised her hand and pointed it at Yi Xiang. A pure wave of wood attribute spiritual energy rushed out from Zhu's hand and entered Yi Xiang's body. Rest well. I will not arrange any other monstrous beast for you for the next 2 days. What? Yi Xiang, who was about to fall asleep, immediately sat up when he heard this. He stared at Zhu as if he was mistaken. What's wrong? You're not willing? Zhu smiled when she saw Yi Xiang's sudden vigor. She said, if you're not willing, I will arrange another monstrous beast for you to challenge right now. After all, your cultivation is still... What the hell? Master, can you act like a human? Yi Xiang interrupted Zhu before she could finish her sentence. I've just risked my life and killed the hell tiger with great difficulty. Right now, I'm lacking hell chi and my body's functions are declining. Besides, can't you see that I'm covered in wounds? Are you so heartless to let your disciple rest for 2 days before continuing to fight? After saying that, his eyes stared at Zhu. Yi Xiang's mocking expression was incisive and vivid. However, there were only 2 words waiting for Zhu's response. Heartless. Yi Xiang was speechless. He had nothing to say. Inexplicably, Yi Xiang felt a little regretful. What kind of master was this? She was clearly an enemy. Moreover, it was the kind of blood feud that would not rest until one of them was dead. Otherwise, she would not have acted like this. He understood that it was useless to say anything now. 2 days. A new wave of battles would come in 2 days. Plop. He lay down again, looking as if he had nothing left to live for. Don't disturb me for the next 2 days. Let me enjoy some peace and quiet. After saying that, exhaustion uncontrollably swarmed over him. His eyelids closed, and he fell into a deep sleep. Hey, you brat. Zhu smiled bitterly as he looked at the sleeping Yi Xiang. Then he picked Yi Xiang up and said, train your body well during this period of time. After some time, your master will try to undo the seal within your body. After saying that, her body disappeared. The entire mountain range returned to its previous tranquility. Chapter 1351. In the sky above the secluded valley in Lu Province, it was a sunny day. Suddenly, the nether chi raged in a space. A crack as tall as a person suddenly appeared. The moment the crack appeared, the nether chi began to rush in wildly. The moment the crack appeared, the nether chi within 100 miles was completely devoured. As such, the devouring power from the crack was endless. After the nether chi within 100 miles was completely devoured, it began to pull in the nether chi from 100 miles away. Regarding this, the secluded valley was peaceful and bustling. No one noticed the abnormality in the sky. This is the secluded valley. A hollow voice came out from the spatial crack. Then, a figure walked out from the crack. It was none other than Lin Rei. Lin Rei was followed by Lu Ding, Wang Yu, and the Red Flame Tiger. The moment they appeared, the crack closed and disappeared. The nether chi that was pulled in by the crack seemed to have lost its target. It dissipated in the air and returned to normal. Senior, this is my secluded valley. Looking at the familiar scenery and mountains below, Wang Yu quickly nodded. He was very familiar with this place and could not be mistaken. However, he found it hard to accept. In the past, it would take him 10 to 20 days to travel from the secluded valley to Huanghui City. He did not expect to be back in the sky above the secluded valley in the blink of an eye. To him and Lu Ding, this was an unreachable place. It was too far away. Linley nodded, acknowledging the order. Brother Lei, the Red Flame Tiger's voice sounded. Lin Rei turned to look at him. Seeing the strange look in the Red Flame Tiger's eyes, Lin Rei nodded helplessly. Go. Remember, don't go overboard. After all, this is not our territory. If the energy imbalance attracts the experts of this region, there will be a lot of trouble. Seeing that Lin Ray had agreed, the red flame tiger nodded excitedly. I understand. Brother Lei, you still don't know me. I'm not the kind of person to cause trouble. Can I say yes now? The red flame tiger was speechless. All right, hurry up and go. Remember, don't make too much noise. Lin Ray exhorted again. Don't worry, Brother Lei. After saying that, the crimson flame tiger turned around and teleported away before everyone's eyes. As he watched Lin Ray leave, Forgotten Sorrow was stunned. He subconsciously opened his mouth and said, I wonder, who is this senior? The moment he said those words, Wang Yu felt some regret. After all, the other party's cultivation, him. Looking in the direction that the scarlet flame tiger left, a faint smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face as he continued. He went to play. However, the demonic beasts in this mountain range might suffer a calamity. Once he said those words, he ignored Forgotten Sorrow and the others, who had lost control of their expressions at that moment. He took a step forward and led the two of them down. However, how could the two of them not understand Lin Ray's words? This mother of Asterisk was obviously going to attack all the demonic beasts in the mountain range. However, he didn't say anything in the end because this was something that he couldn't control. At this moment, he only wanted to understand why the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm had suddenly opened in advance and why the Grand Supreme had suddenly come out of seclusion. These things were weighing on his mind, and he was about to collapse. In the blink of an eye, Lin Ray and the other two arrived at a place not far from the secluded valley. Lin Ray didn't enter the secluded valley directly. After all, that would be too conspicuous. He knew that in the netherworld, those who could fly in the sky were at least star venerables. Just now, he scanned everyone in the secluded valley with his divine consciousness. Those who could reach the star venerable realm could be counted with one hand. Moreover, these people had lost both their chi and blood. It was obvious that their lifespan was coming to an end, and their death was not far away. Ow! Suddenly, a beast's roar sounded not far away when Lin Ray and the others had just stepped on the ground. Turning around, he looked at the nearby hell tiger, who was still hunting. Lin Ray's eyes were filled with disdain, and the corners of his mouth curled up. With a wave of his hand, the hell tiger flew up uncontrollably and landed in front of Lin Ray and the others. Rumble! The hell tiger landed on the ground, raising a cloud of dust. F***CK. Seeing such a fierce scene, Wang Yu couldn't help but swallow their saliva. They looked shocked and couldn't calm down for a long time. Conversely, Linley strode over to the nether tiger and stretched out his hand to pat the nether tiger's head. He said in an extremely cold and indifferent manner, Be obedient and be my mount during this period of time. Perhaps I'll be happy and give you a fortune. In the eyes of outsiders, Lin Ray was talking to the hell tiger. In fact, Lin Ray had communicated with the hell tiger with his divine consciousness. He even used his might to suppress and subdue the hell tiger. Howl! A tiger's roar sounded. However, times had changed. This tiger's roar was not as arrogant as before. It was full of bestiality. It lowered its head and lay in front of Lin Ray. It tried to rub its head against Lin Ray's body, as if it was trying to please Lin Ray. This scene once again shocked the worryless duo. To the two of them, this was too far in the future, but it was too awesome. In their opinion, it was not easy to subdue the hell tiger. Even if they wanted to take action, it was impossible. Even if the Grand Elder of the secluded valley came, he would return empty-handed. Good boy. Seeing that the abyssal tiger was so sensible, a smile appeared on Linley's face. He took a step forward and sat down on the abyssal tiger's back. Let's go. Let's enter the valley. As he spoke, he patted the abyss tiger, indicating for it to move. As for the worryless duo, they naturally bitterly followed behind Linley, walking on foot. Oh, right. Suddenly, Lin Ray, who was walking, thought of the 20 geniuses of Huanghui City in the system. The hell tiger stopped eating. Lin Ray communicated with the system and wrapped the 20 people with his divine consciousness. Then, he threw them out of the system space. The moment the two of them appeared, grumbling sounds rose and fell one after another, continuous and unending. What's going on? I just fell asleep. Damn it. Don't they know that they can't be disturbed when they are cultivating? Who is it? Are they trying to stir up trouble? Lu Ding and Wang Yu, who were at the side, looked at the 20 people behaving like this. Their faces turned red, and they felt extremely embarrassed, especially in front of a powerhouse like Lin Li. That old face of his was practically thrown to his grandmother's house. They were so ashamed that they wanted to hide in a hole. If there was a hole in the ground, the two of them would like to crawl into it and never see anyone again. Unfortunately, it was impossible. I say, shut up. All of you are reputable in Huanghui City. Why are you cursing like a shrew? What a scandal. In the end, Lu Ding couldn't hold it in anymore and scolded the crowd. His face was dark. When Lu Ding said that, the scene suddenly quietened down. Everyone came back to their senses and turned to look at Lu Ding. All of you, just you wait. When we return to Huanghui City, I will teach you a lesson. Shame, fear, these emotions slowly emerged in the 20 people's hearts. They had heard about the methods of City Lord Lu Ding from the elders and their families. Enough. At this moment, Lin Rei's voice suddenly appeared in everyone's ears. I didn't accompany you here to listen to your chatter. When he said that, everyone was stunned. Wang Yu scratched his head awkwardly and quickly stepped forward. He stretched out his hand and made an inviting gesture. Then, he said respectfully, Senior is right. We have been rash. Senior, please forgive us. Lu Ding bowed. His expression changed drastically. Sweat couldn't stop flowing from his forehead. Sweeping his gaze across the crowd, Ming Hu snorted and walked towards the entrance of the secluded valley. At the same time, on the other side of the mountain range, the red flame tiger who had separated from Lin Rei searched for a long time with his divine sense. Finally, he found the king of this mountain range. When he came to the front of the cave, his original body appeared and roared at the cave. You inside, come out. 3 breaths. After 3 breaths, if the two of you still don't appear, there's only one outcome for you. Die. Inside the cave, the demonic beast, White Ape's family who were sleeping soundly were startled awake by the sudden voice. As the king of this mountain range, he had his dignity. Now, the red flame tiger's actions had undoubtedly challenged his dignity. This was unforgivable. Old Bai, the one outside, at the side, a white ape transformed into a woman and looked at her husband with a worried expression. From the aura that the red flame tiger emitted, they could feel that the other party's cultivation was probably above the two of them. Roar! A weak, beastly roar sounded between the two of them. The little white ape stood up with a frightened expression and instantly went into Old Bai's arms. Its head kept burrowing into Old Bai's arms. As if he could feel the fear from the child, Old Bai was even more furious. Son of a B*TCH, it seems like I really have to take action this time. At this moment, Old Bai seemed to have lost his mind. With a shake of his body, he transformed into a middle-aged man. With a gentle expression, he placed the little white ape beside the woman and gave her a reassuring look. Then, he turned around and walked outside. Old Bai worried. Hearing the concern from his wife, Old Bai paused for a moment and then moved again. Oh, he's out. The red flame tiger, who was waiting at the entrance of the cave, grinned when he saw the middle-aged man appear. Why is this fellow's background? When he saw the red flame tiger at the entrance of the cave, Old Bai was stunned. A strange expression appeared on his face. His entire face was filled with shock and confusion. Although there was no red flame tiger in this world, from the fluctuation of the other party's bloodline, he could feel the other party's background. What? Are you looking down on me? Old Bai's puzzled expression appeared. The red flame tiger smiled. He didn't feel ashamed at all about his background. After all, in his opinion, his background didn't represent everything. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to cultivate to such a level now. When facing the white ape, he could be confident because he was strong. Before Old Bai could speak, the red flame tiger interrupted him and said, I didn't come here this time because I wanted to see how strong the king of this mountain range is. Of course, more importantly, I will be staying here for a period of time. Therefore, there are some things that I need you, the king, to come here. Nanny? Old Bai was stunned. The red flame tiger's meaning was very obvious. It wanted to use him as a hired thug. What? You don't understand? No, I was just thinking, are you sick? Old Bai had some thoughts about the red flame tiger's thoughts. Sigh. The red flame tiger now realized that it was too tiring to talk to Old Bai. What kind of brain was this? How could this be a high-grade bloodline? Shaking his head, he turned into his human form and walked towards Old Bai. He raised his hand and placed it on Old Bai's shoulder. He said solemnly, "During this period of time, I want you to be my follower. Of course, there's a reward. I don't know if you are willing." After saying that, the red flame tiger couldn't help but exert force on his hand. Old Bai wanted to refute the red flame tiger's request, but when he wanted to refute, he was stopped by the movement on his shoulder. He raised his head and glared at the red flame tiger. He started to circulate his cultivation, trying to offset the pain from his shoulder. Unfortunately, as his cultivation slowly increased until it reached the peak, the pain on his shoulder was still there. Surprisingly, it was no different from before. At this moment, Old Bai finally knew why this guy dared to do this. It wasn't because he was sick. It was because he had the strength that he dared to be so presumptuous. Although he understood now, it was a pity that he was already in the hands of others. What? Do you agree? Seeing that Old Bai didn't say anything, the red flame tiger exerted force again. This time, he used 20% of his strength. This time, Old Bai couldn't help but scream. His knees bent, and he knelt down. Inside the cave, the woman's face turned pale when she heard her husband scream. She quickly comforted the child in her arms and then walked out of the eastern capital. Seeing her husband being suppressed by the scarlet flame tiger, she hurriedly stepped forward and bowed to the scarlet flame tiger. She said respectfully, "Senior, if my husband has offended you in any way, Feng Xin will apologize." Looking at the woman's appearance, the red flame tiger couldn't help but be shocked. I won't comment on her husband's appearance, but this woman's appearance is really beautiful. Looking at Feng Xian, the red flame tiger grinned. He removed his hand from Old Bai's shoulder and cupped his fist to return the greeting. Feng, fellow Taoist, it's like this. During this period of time, I want to play here for a while, so I want your husband to accompany me and avoid unnecessary trouble. However, he looked at Old Bai and said helplessly, "Your husband doesn't seem particularly willing." Feng Xian was stunned. She knew her husband's character very well. After being a king for so long, of course, he wouldn't want to be inferior to others. However, facing the red flame tiger's cultivation, even if he didn't want to, he had to endure it for the sake of their child. Thinking of this, she cupped her fist and said, "Senior, I will agree on behalf of my husband first." Seeing her husband's action, Old Bai was stunned. Obviously, he didn't expect Feng Xian to make such a decision. Okay then. Saying this, a bottle of elixirs appeared and was handed to the two. Then, the red flame tiger said, "The elixirs in this bottle are good for your baby's body. Take it as the deposit for being my subordinate for this period of time." Chapter 1352. Alright. Although he had some doubts about this thing in front of him, he did not dare to openly reject it in front of an expert. Of course, Lao Bai did not have the brains to do so. Everything was done by Feng Xian. Lao Bai was just a passerby who did not know anything. He did not speak at all, and just stared with his big eyes. "Alright, let's go." With that, the flaming tiger turned around and walked in the direction it came from. It was not very fast, because it wanted to wait for Lao Bai behind it. No. Looking at the back of the flaming tiger, Lao Bai was stunned. He suddenly asked, "Big brother, where are you going?" "No, wait for me." With that, he looked at his wife. Follow me later. After all, if I'm not here, it won't be good for those people to make a move." With that, Feng Xian's expression changed as if she had thought of something terrifying. She nodded. "I understand. Hurry up and follow me. I'll follow right away." With that, Fang Xian turned around and walked into the cave. As for Lao Bai, he naturally channeled the demonic essence in his body and rushed towards the flaming tiger. On the other side, Lin Rei was led by Wang Yu and finally stepped in the mountain gate of the secluded valley. Wow! Lin Rei exclaimed as he looked at the scenery in front of him with a smile. He did not notice from the sky that the secluded valley scenery was so dreamy. Instead of calling it a secluded valley, it was more accurate to call it the Valley of Dreams. There are also scenes such as the Milky Way descending from the ninth heaven. There are also scenes of thousands of flowers, little beasts running happily in the valley, and groups of beasts drinking water by the pool. What could not be seen from the outside could be seen here. The entire secluded valley was made of flowers. It was a pity to step on it, and one could not bear to do so. TSK, not bad. I did not expect the secluded valley to be a paradise. Yes. The secluded valley is the result of the accumulation of my ancestors. Wang Yu was proud of this. In his opinion, there should be no other place better than here. Although the secluded valley was not famous, no one in the entire Lu province would dare to be presumptuous here, let alone take it for themselves. Senior, let's go. The loft in the secluded valley is right in front of us. He pointed to the distance and pointed the way for Lin Rei. Yes. Then, he returned to his senses and gestured for Ming Hu to follow him. If not for the existence of the system, the damn mission, and the fact that his family and friends were not here, he might have really planned to live in seclusion again. After all, living in seclusion in this kind of place was unfortunately very comfortable and also very good for training one's state of mind. Under Forgotten Sorrow's lead, Lin Rei and the others finally arrived at the pavilion in the secluded valley that Forgotten Sorrow had mentioned. Rather than calling it a pavilion, it was more like a place where everyone lived in the secluded valley. Sect leader. At this time, a disciple who was patrolling the valley was stunned when he saw the daylily. Then, he came back to his senses and was pleasantly surprised. He quickly stepped forward and bowed. What happened? He remembered that when he left the secluded valley, there was no such position in the secluded valley. Why was it this time, moreover? He could see exhaustion and conflict between his disciple's brows. Therefore, how could Daylily still think that nothing had happened in the secluded valley? Sect leader, this. Looking at the sect leader, the young disciple was hesitant. There was a flash of fear in his eyes. It seemed that something had frightened him. Because of this fear, he did not dare to speak. Lin Rei saw this scene completely. Looking at the conversation between the two, he was speechless. He had no choice but to release his divine sense and shroud the entire secluded valley. In the secluded valley, there were 7 powerful auras. Their realms were probably weak. At the very least, they were at the level of crepe myrtle. Moreover, there were many people who were at the level of crepe myrtle. In this regard, Lin Rei understood that something must have happened in the secluded valley. Perhaps it was very likely to lead to the extermination of the sect. Thinking of this, he fixed his eyes on the daylily. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he interrupted the two of them. Daylily, there are many powerful cultivators here. Come to think of it, your secluded valley may be in imminent danger now. He looked away from the daylily and looked at the young disciple beside him. He continued, Little brother, tell me, am I right? As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed drastically. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on the young disciple, as if they were waiting for his answer. As a patrolling disciple, he had never been looked at like this by other cultivators. Among them, there were several cultivators who were stronger than him. Of course, more importantly, his sect leader was among them. Time passed by slowly. The young disciple kept talking among himself. Lin Rei's pumpkin was buzzing. Aya, that's enough. You talk as if I want to kill you. In the end, Lin Rei could not help but break the confrontation. Then, he looked at the daylily as if the child was unteachable and said hatefully, I say, you are also a blockhead. If you want to know the identity of the other party, just go in and find out. The daylily was speechless. Looking at Lin Rei, The Daylily's eyes flashed with helplessness. Damn it. If I had your cultivation, I would not have to wait here. I'm not crazy, Of course, the Daylily did not dare to say this out loud. Although he said take care, in his heart, he admitted it. Well, if that's the case, then when we go in and fight, I will ask Senior to help us. At that time, I will definitely pay you double. So far, this was the only way left. Senior, I beg you. Lu Ding also hurriedly echoed. Senior, I beg you. Lu Ding said. The 20 disciples of Huang Hui City also said in unison. Looking at their expressions, Lin Ray shook his head helplessly. Really, I don't know if it is right or wrong to come here this time. As he said that, he stepped forward. Oh, right. As if he thought of something, he paused and turned to look at the Daylily. He smiled and said, Should I injure him or kill him? The Daylily was speechless. He came back to his senses and waved his hand, saying, Senior, it's fine as long as you injure him. He did not dare to kill those people whose origins were unknown. Ruo Lin and Lei were from the Deep Valley. Perhaps he did not need to remind them that this group of people would not be able to get out of the Deep Valley. Unfortunately, Lin Ray was not. After answering, he sat on the Hell Tiger and walked into the depths of the Deep Valley, leaving the Daylily and the others to eat. At the entrance of the Deep Valley, he finally arrived at the Deep Valley with White. After experiencing 81 difficulties, he finally arrived at the Deep Valley. Big brother, is this the place you said you were going to come? Looking at the Deep Valley, White was surprised. Why, have you been here before? The Flaming Tiger said disapprovingly. Chapter 1353. Oh no, but I've heard of it. Oh, hearing this, the Flaming Tiger was not surprised. After all, he was the king of this mountain range. If he did not even know the distribution of forces in a mountain range, then he could be laid off. However, seeing the Flaming Tiger in a daze, Senior White's mouth squirmed as if he wanted to say something. What's the matter? Yes. Senior White nodded and told him what had happened in the past 2 days. This is where the secluded valley is located. However, 2 days ago, a group of experts suddenly came. Their cultivation was very strong. That I might not be a match for them. Of course, more importantly, I heard that everyone in the secluded valley was suppressed. Moreover, there were many experts from the other side. According to the news, there were 7 of them, and they might all be cultivators of the crepe myrtle realm. It's also because of this that the demonic beasts in the entire mountain range are especially quiet during this period. Experts? Suppressed? Listening to Senior White's explanation, coupled with the fact that Daylily suddenly asked for Lin Ray's help and the Dragon Spring secret realm opening in advance, he felt that this matter was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. Thinking of this, he did not waste any more time. He released his divine sense and disappeared in a flash. Follow me quickly. I'll wait for you in the secluded valley. Hearing the Flaming Tiger's voice, Senior White laughed bitterly. He understood that they would definitely go to the secluded valley today. He had no choice but to look at his wife and son. Let's go. As long as we follow him now, we should not be in danger. Yes, I think so too. Senior White and his family made up their minds and immediately chased after the Flaming Tiger. In the depths of the secluded valley, Lin Ray, who was sitting on the Hell Tiger, followed the lock of his divine sense and soon arrived at the place where the 7 crepe myrtle realm cultivators were. At the moment, the 7 crepe myrtle cultivators were in their own rooms, practicing cultivation. As for the number 1 cultivators with decent cultivation bases, they were in their own rooms, practicing cultivation. They had no idea that Linley had arrived, nor did they have any idea that danger was approaching. Not bad, very diligent. You're at ease in someone else's territory. You've reached a new realm. As he spoke, he smiled and released his pressure. Everyone, wake up. It's raining. Let's go home and collect our clothes. Boom, boom. As soon as Lin Ray finished speaking, 7 terrifying waves of chi swarmed in from all directions, crushing onto Lin Ray's body. It was as if they were going to kill Lin Ray directly. At the same time, all of the disciples who had been training upon hearing Linley's voice, began to awaken from their training. "Who is it? How dare you disturb us while we are cultivating?" Resentful voices came from all directions. This person, the juniors were not aware of it, but the 7 Purple Myrtle Realm cultivators were aware of it. The combined pressure of the 7 of them was completely useless against Lin Ray. The indifference on Lin Ray's face caused the hearts of the 7 people to calm down. This sort of calm in the face of danger was enough to crush everyone present. Feeling the pressure of the 7 people, Lin Ray's eyes flashed with disdain. He said in an indifferent tone, "The 7 of you, if I'm not wrong, this is the secluded valley. So, please give me some face and leave. I won't make things difficult for you. If not." A cold light flashed in his eyes. "Oh!" Within one of the rooms, the white-haired elder stared at Linley, and a hint of a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with amusement. "Young friend, I wonder, if we don't leave, what will you do to us?" "Yes, little guy. It's been 1,000 years. It's been a long time since someone dared to speak to me like this. You are very courageous." "Yo, old ghost Jian, from your words, you can't have taken a fancy to this ant, right?" In the distance, in a room, a young girl in a red dress spoke, her face full of mockery. "I say, can you guys stop fighting among yourselves? Don't forget what we're here for. Don't tell me you're wasting everyone's time for such an unpresentable thing." The 7 Crepe Myrtle Realm cultivators were all talking one after another, completely ignoring Linley. They didn't even try to avoid the conversation between the 7 of them. However, they did not know that the person in front of them was the person they had been looking for. He was right in front of them. After glancing at the room of the 7 people, Lin Ray waved his hand. A set of table and chairs appeared. Lin Ray sat on it with an indifferent expression. The 7 people were not fools. They saw that they were quarreling, and he was watching the scene as if he was watching a show. How could they not be angry? In their hearts, Lin Ray was a complete ant. Therefore, they did not care if he heard them or not. In their opinion, this person must die today because the matter of the secluded valley could not be spread to the various states of the netherworld. "Brat!" The young girl in red walked out of the room and strolled in front of Lin Ray. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. Her hands were clenched and her face was extremely gloomy. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not knowing what's good for you. So die. Swoosh! The young girl in red turned into a red stream and disappeared on the spot. She rushed towards Lin Ray. As the saying goes, one is as quiet as a virgin and as fast as a fleeing rabbit. The red stream was as fast as lightning. It flashed past and rushed towards Lin Ray's heart. An ant-like existence dares to be presumptuous in front of Brother Lay. Do you really think I'm useless? Just when a young girl in red was about to kill Lin Ray, a dignified and diligent voice sounded. "Oh, you're finally back." Others did not know, but Lin Ray was very familiar with this voice. Only Lin Ray could recognize this voice. The person who came was none other than the Red Flame Tiger. After separating from Lao Bai, he released his divine sense and locked onto Lin Ray. So bang! The Red Flame Tiger's figure flashed and came to Lin Ray's face. A terrifying pressure swept over. Then it turned around and crushed Lin Ray with a terrifying pressure. Boom! What? Bang! A muffled sound was heard. A moment ago, she was enjoying the limelight, but the next moment, at this moment, the young girl in red was suppressed by the pressure and momentum of the Red Flame Tiger. She was lying on the ground and looked very miserable. However, the young girl in red could not bear this scene. This situation was beyond her expectation. Not only her, but even the other 6 could not bear it. It could suppress cultivators who were not weaker than them with just the pressure of the aura. What kind of strength was this? Brother Lay, what should we do? Looking at the Red Flame Tiger, he glanced at the surrounding people and finally looked at the young girl in red. He curled his lips and said, "Are you stupid? Teach them a lesson. Otherwise, they will really think that they are invincible after reaching the Crepe Myrtle realm." As soon as he said this, the Red Flame Tiger grinned. A bloodthirsty look flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and attacked the young girl in red. "No, don't, Chapter 1354. Boom! Poochie! A cracking sound was heard. Looking ahead, a pit that was several zhang deep appeared. In the deep pit, the red-clothed girl was no longer there. There was only a lump of rotten flesh, a lump of a bloody scene that made one's stomach churn. Who else? After dealing with this one, the scarlet flaming tiger raised his head and glanced at the remaining 6 purple myrtle cultivators. The scene was very quiet. There were only 6 purple myrtle cultivators left. None of them dared to raise their heads. Even their clothes were corroded by cold sweat at this moment. They knew that the purple myrtle cultivators were the top existences in the Lu province and even the other provinces. Every purple myrtle cultivator was an overlord of a region. Even the lord of a city was no match for them. However, now they were no match for a single move from the person in front of them. This made the 6 of them feel that their cultivation was fake. It was as if they had never truly reached the real peak. Of course, it was only what they thought was the peak. Oh, are you all not talking? Looking at the silence of the surrounding people, Lin Ray smiled. However, this smile was so cold and eerie in the eyes of the others. The atmosphere became more and more silent. The surrounding temperature began to drop slowly until it reached the freezing point. Big brother. A wild voice suddenly sounded from afar, and the originally heavy atmosphere was instantly broken by this call of Big Brother. Big Brother? Glancing at the scarlet flaming tiger beside him, Lin Ray laughed softly. He really couldn't think of anyone who could be so presumptuous here without the scarlet flaming tiger making a move. Anyway, he didn't know this voice. So he called out, "Damn, this idiot." Looking at Lin Ray's eerie and inquiring gaze, the scarlet flaming tiger scratched his head awkwardly and said with a silly smile, "Oh, that, hee, it's the little brother I just subdued. Hey, you this brat." Looking at the scarlet flaming tiger's appearance, Lin Ray smiled bitterly. It hadn't been long since he came, and this little brother of his was already subdued. Turning around, Linley stared at the charging middle-aged man. A sharp light flashed through Linley's eyes. Suddenly, Linley was able to see through Senior White's background. "White ape, that's not bad. However, it's just these people." The white ape's cultivation was only at the early stage of Star Life Realm. In Lin Ray's opinion, it was a little weak. After all, there were 6 purple Star Realm cultivators behind him. Senior White's speed was still very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the Crimson Flame Tiger. He ignored the others and looked at the Crimson Flame Tiger and complained, "I say, big brother, I'm already your little brother. Can't you take care of my feelings? So fast, how can I keep up?" This scene made Lin Ray want to cry and laugh. What the F***ck is this? Are you trying to make me laugh? However, Olbai didn't notice that the Scarlet Flame Tiger's expression became worse and worse as he spoke. However, he was completely unaware that his little mouth wouldn't stop smacking. Also, "Big brother, look at my calves. They're almost thin." Saying that, he pointed at his own 2 legs with a pitiful expression. However, in the distance, Fangxin, who was following behind, heard her husband's words. Suddenly, her face darkened. As soon as she came in, she had the urge to leave. She didn't even dare to look at her husband. It was as if she was afraid that others would know that this man was her husband. "Big brother, why aren't you talking?" Seeing that the Scarlet Flame Tiger didn't speak, Senior White raised his head and asked with a puzzled expression. However, Lin Ray, who was at the side, couldn't hold it in anymore. He was now sure that this guy was invited by Little Tiger to make fun of him. "Father, little bastard, shut up. We don't know each other." Hearing her son's voice, Fangxin quickly spoke. She wanted to stop him, but unfortunately, "Ah, son, wife, you're here." Hearing his son's voice, Senior White turned around and looked at his wife and son. His face was full of smiles as he waved his hand at them. "PFFF, waha." Laughing, Lin Ray finally laughed. He couldn't hold in anymore. "This guy is too interesting." As he laughed, he looked at Little Tiger. "Little Tiger, you really put in a lot of effort. Where did you find such a clown? Tell me, I'll also go and make 2 of them. This way, I'll have a year's worth of laughs." When these words came out, the Scarlet Flame Tiger's face became even more unsightly. He raised his head and looked at Senior White, whose back was facing him. Then, he raised his hand and slapped Senior White. Bang! With a sound, Senior White's body flew out uncontrollably. Of course, this slap wasn't ruthless and didn't have the slightest bit of demonic chi. So, you little brat, you've completely disgraced me. Senior White turned his head and angrily ignored everyone. However, the 6 Crepe Myrtle Realm cultivators and their disciples wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. They had seen this person's cultivation before. They didn't want to end up like that Crepe Myrtle Realm cultivator. Alas, looking at the Scarlet Flame Tiger's appearance, Lin Ray also knew when to stop, but he couldn't stop smiling. Okay, let him come over. I think this guy's character is like this. So, it's not a bad thing to have him by your side, right? The Scarlet Flame Tiger turned his head and looked at Lin Ray with a shocked expression. Brother Lei, I didn't hear wrongly just now, right? You want this little rookie to follow by your side? Yes, why? Is there something wrong? But no, it's just that. Senior White turned his head and looked into the distance. At this moment, Senior White had already climbed up from the ground. Brother Lei, this guy has a family to feed. Are you sure it's not troublesome? In order to prevent himself from hearing wrongly, the Scarlet Flame Tiger asked again. I see. Looking at Senior White and his family, Lin Ray pondered for a while and then nodded seriously. Let's stay here. He looks quite interesting. It's not a bad thing to have him by our side. Finally, after getting Lin Ray's confirmation, the Scarlet Flame Tiger's face lit up. He hurriedly waved at Senior White and his family and said, Senior White, your family quickly come over. Brother Lei. Just now they were inexplicably sent flying, and now they were inexplicably summoned. This made Senior White a little confused, but his wife was a smart person. Seeing her husband's confused face, she reached out and pulled him by the ear and walked towards Lin Ray. However, Senior White didn't have a good time. Along the way, he was like a pig being slaughtered. That sound, that roar, that hoarse voice made Lin Ray's expression tremble. He subconsciously touched his ear. Senior White, this is my master. After Senior White and his family arrived, the Scarlet Flame Tiger pointed at Lin Ray and started to introduce him. Just now, my master said that your family will follow us in the future. In the future, you don't have to live in this mountain range anymore. What? Leave? He looked at the Scarlet Flame Tiger in a daze. Yes, that's right. What's wrong? No, I won't leave. After getting a definite answer, Senior White quickly shook his head and rejected Lin Ray's invitation. Chapter 1355. What? You don't agree? The Red Flame Tiger was stunned, Lin Ray was stunned, and the 6 Crepe Myrtle cultivators were stunned. Everyone present thought they were hallucinating. Yes, I don't agree. Senior White was a simple person as well. When he saw everyone staring blankly, he thought they hadn't heard him clearly, and then he said solemnly once more, I've lived here for half my life. Moreover, I don't want to live a life of fighting and killing. I just want to lead my son and be my own king in this world. As he spoke, he looked at his son, and a touch of tenderness flashed in his eyes. However, he didn't notice that Fong Xian's face had become very gloomy. As a mother, she didn't want her son to live in a place of his own accord when he grew up. Lao Bai, what's wrong? When he looked up and saw his wife's gloomy expression, Lao Bai trembled and subconsciously covered his ears with his hands, as if he knew what was going to happen next. Are you stupid? With such a good opportunity, why do you want to be the king of this mountain valley? You want it, but I don't want it. As he spoke, he picked up the little ape in his arms and continued. Don't tell me you want your son to be like us in the future, ignorant and inexperienced. Anyway, I don't care. If you don't agree, then let's not live together anymore. I'll take my son back to my mother's home. Lin Ray, the Red Flame Tiger, everyone, when this scene appeared, everyone present was speechless. This was a King serious scene, but now it became a family drama. What was going on? However, Lin Ray didn't want to see this scene. After all, Lao Bai was so interesting, and he still wanted to keep him by his side. Oh, don't call me that. Before Lao Bai could speak, Fong Xian interrupted him. Seeing his wife's serious look, Lao Bai fell into silence. He lowered his head and looked at the little white ape licking its hands in his arms. Finally, he made a decision in his heart. He turned around and looked at the red flame tiger. Big brother, I agree to your request. Hey, look at you. Why do you have to waste time? You should have agreed before. Seriously. Seeing Lao Bai agree, the red flame tiger's face revealed a smile. Lin Rei laughed. He understood that the scarlet flame tiger really wanted Lao Bai to stay, because this way he would have some fun. Wife, are you satisfied now? Don't tell me you're going back to your parents' home and abandoning me. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned once again. In the next moment, Lin Rei couldn't help but laugh. The scarlet flame tiger was even more so. However, when the scarlet flame tiger saw that Fang Xin was suspecting Xiao Chen's child, it felt inexplicably envious. Now that the matter was settled, he turned to look at the remaining group of people and asked coldly, "Where is the Grand Elder of the secluded valley?" Lin Rei's change was too fast for the six of them to react. Just a moment ago, he had a happy face, but now, in the blink of an eye, he was so cold. At this moment, one of the old men came back to his senses. The instant his gaze met Lin Rei's, his heart trembled, and he quickly lowered his head. Senior, this valley's Grand Supreme is in the depths of the valley. At this moment, he should already be activating the formation of the Dragon Spring Mystery Realm. Yes. Senior, the Grand Elder of the secluded valley is in the depths of the secluded valley. Yes. For a moment, when one of them spoke, the remaining people came back to their senses and quickly responded, as if they were afraid that they would be unlucky if they responded too late. Xiao Hugo, take a look. I'll settle this. After getting the answer he wanted, Lin Rei instructed Xiao Hu. Okay, got it. Xiao Hu didn't say anything else. He turned around and disappeared in a flash. The scene became silent again. This made everyone feel that the atmosphere was very oppressive, so oppressive that they couldn't even breathe. Lei, Brother Lei, can I call you that? Lao Bai asked weakly. Yes. Lin Rei nodded. After getting permission, Lao Bai scratched his head and said naively, Brother Lei, my boss has left. Then what should I do? As soon as he said that, Lin Rei was stunned. He came back to his senses and glanced at the young and beautiful women around him. The corners of his mouth curled up, and a bloodthirsty look flashed across his face. Do you see those people? He pointed at the group of young and beautiful women. Go kill them. Leave no one alive. This is what you have to do next. No you can't. Senior, you can't. The disciples of my Burning Sky sect are all. In the distance, the Crepe Myrtle Realm old man was shocked. This time, he brought all the elite disciples of his sect. If they all died here, the Burning Sky sect would suffer a great loss. This was something that the Burning Sky sect couldn't afford. Senior, my Shiyin sect is also. Senior, my Broadsword sect is also. For a moment, the 6 Crepe Myrtle Realm cultivators took turns to speak. They were terrified. Similarly, they didn't want to see their own disciples sacrificed innocently. Not only them, but even Lao Bai was shocked by Lin Rei's decision. Kill them all. Although he was a demonic beast, he usually only killed some other demonic beasts or ate spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits. Unless he had no other choice, he would only attack humans. But now what, you can't do it? Seeing Lao Bai's embarrassed expression, Lin Rei's eyes focused on the 6 Crepe Myrtle Realm cultivators. Since that's the case, I'll give you a demonstration. Remember, you will no longer live here in the future. In the outside world, there is mutual deception, killing, and robbing. They might even kill you because you're a demonic beast. All of these are possible. The weak are prey to the strong. I think I don't need to say it. You should understand. As he spoke, he looked at the first person who spoke. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. Die, Pucci. His words were the law. At this moment, Lin Rei really did cook. As soon as the word die came out, the old man instantly exploded. Even his original flesh and blood instantly turned into ashes and disappeared. This impossible. What kind of power is this? At this moment, everyone was shocked by Lin Ray again. Lin Ray's means were too shocking. Who's the next one? His gaze swept around and finally fell on the last woman. Remember, be a good person in your next life. Don't look down on others because there are some people you can't afford to offend. Senior, no. I have treasures. The woman was shocked. She had seen Lin Ray's means. She was afraid of death. She didn't want to die. Looking at the woman, Lin Ray's eyes were full of mockery. Then he opened his red lips. Die. As soon as he said this, the surrounding nether chi suddenly began to madly rush towards the cocoon in the woman's body. No. The woman felt the change in her body. Her fear grew stronger. Just as she was about to shout hoarsely and resist, bang! A muffled sound rang out. Suddenly, just like the previous one, her body exploded and turned into nothingness. Chapter 1356. Did you see it clearly? Without turning around, Lin Ray's emotionless fear was transmitted into Lao Bai's mind. Suddenly, Lao Bai's hair stood on end. As a demonic beast, he had seen ferocious beasts, but it was the first time he had seen someone like Lin Ray, who could kill as he moved. Brother Lei is asking you a question. At the side, Fangxin hurriedly stretched out her hand to push Senior White when she noticed her husband's absent-minded expression. In her opinion, this was an opportunity to allow her husband to do it. Oh, Lao Bai came back to his senses and nodded subconsciously. I understand. So go ahead. Linley nodded. Without further ado, he raised his hand and the nether chi within 100 miles began to gather. In the air above the remaining crepe myrtle cultivators, a gigantic palm slowly took shape. Do you really have to do this? How do you know? Our sect is one of the best. That's right, Senior. I think it's better to spare people whenever possible. Don't worry, we will compensate you accordingly. We will not let you suffer any losses. What do you think? That's right, Senior. If you kill us, you will only bring endless enemies to your sect. Instead of that, you might as well. Hearing their tongue-tied voices, Linley frowned and let out a long sigh. However, the hand seals in his hand moved faster. Soon after, the surrounding people could not see clearly. They only knew that the speed of the gathering in the air was getting faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, the embryonic form had appeared. They were completely anxious. They understood that this meant that he was going to kill them all. But how could the one die? Everyone, it seems that this person does not intend to let us go. Let's all escape. Once we get out, inform the Alliance and spread the news. Okay. Everyone agreed. Then, they stood up and planned to go their separate ways and escape. But Lin Ray would really give them this chance. TSK. Looking at them, Lin Ray's eyes flashed with pity. I really don't know how your brains work. Do you think that I will give you a chance to escape? As he spoke, a looming force appeared and instantly shrouded the entire valley. What's going on? I can't move. When one of the old men intended to flee, he suddenly realized that his dantian had been sealed by an unknown force, and he couldn't move at all. I also can't. Me too. Well, what's going on? The few of them were shocked. If that was the case, not only would their previous plan fail, what awaited them was only death. At the other side, Senior White recovered from his shock, and at the instant he responded to Lin Ray, he shot out swiftly and charged towards the group of young cultivators that hadn't even grown out their hair. Senior White's cultivation wasn't bad, but the cultivation of that group of little cultivators was clearly inferior. Under the suppression of Senior White's cultivation, they were utterly powerless to resist. Demon you. Master, it's just us. No, don't. I don't want to die. I surrender. I beg you. Don't kill me, please. I beg you. No, you can't. All of them used to be disciples of aristocratic families or sects, but now, when their lives were threatened, they were no longer the same. At this moment, they were all pitiful worms, ants, fish on the chopping block. You When they heard the cries for help from the disciples, their faces were filled with anxiety. They wanted to go and rescue them, but they were like clay bodhisattvas crossing a river now, and they couldn't even protect themselves, so how could they have the time to rescue people? Even if they could break free from this binding force, they would only flee from this place. As for the disciples, without this batch, they could recruit another batch, and it was only a matter of time. Not bad. Looking at Senior White killing in and out, the corners of Lin Ray's mouth rose, and a bloodthirsty expression appeared on his face. Lin Ray's impression of Senior White had increased greatly. Just a moment ago, Senior White had a silly appearance, and even a little henpecked, but now, the situation had completely changed, and he didn't show any mercy when killing people. Seeing that Senior White was fine, Lin Ray no longer paid attention to him. A giant palm formed in the air, and a smile appeared on his face. He looked at the remaining people and said, "In your next life, be a good person." Scorch. Swoosh. The giant palm suddenly slammed down, and suddenly, a terrifying pressure emerged from the giant palm. Boom! A terrifying wave of air flashed, and except for Lin Ray and the few people who were targeted by the giant palm, everyone else was sent flying by the wave of air. "Senior, protect my wife and children." Senior White's voice entered Lin Ray's ears. Suddenly, Lin Ray flashed in front of Fang Xin, and the saint's spiritual chi formed a protective barrier, enveloping the two of them. "No, don't." With a bang, a loud sound rang out, and the place where the few crepe myrtle realm cultivators originally stood was filled with dust, and the ground trembled. With the giant palm as the center, the surrounding ground began to flash with cracks, and then more and more cracks appeared, as if the world couldn't bear it and was about to collapse. "Brother Lei, what should we do?" Looking at the cracks surging towards them, Fang Xin was slightly worried. Her original intention was to leave, but seeing that Lin Ray didn't have the intention to leave, she could only ask in the end. Waving his hand, a calm and indifferent voice entered Fang Xin's ears. "It's okay. I'm here. Paul and the others are safe." As soon as these words came out, Fang Xin inexplicably calmed down. She had seen Lin Ray's strength, so the dust slowly calmed down, and the scene in the distance slowly emerged. In the end, Fang Xin finally saw it clearly, and suddenly, her expression changed dramatically. Looking into the distance with a trembling voice, she swore that this was the most shocking moment in her life, and also the most unforgettable moment. Dead. He was indifferent, as if he was talking about something insignificant, and it had nothing to do with him. "This is my promise to the sect master of the secluded valley. He asked me to help him, so I helped him solve it." After saying that, he stepped outside, and as for Fang Xin, naturally, she followed him. Outside, Wang Yu, who was waiting for a while, walked back and forth anxiously. Finally, at the entrance, he saw Lin Ray's figure. Senior, how is it?" Seeing Lin Ray, Wang Yu hurriedly stepped forward and asked directly without waiting for Lin Ray to speak. Looking at Wang Yu and the others, he frowned slightly and said indifferently, "Dead." As for those with lower cultivation, Old Bai is killing them now, and it shouldn't be long before your secluded valley returns to your hands again. Oh, right, your Sect Supreme Elder is now opening the Dragon Spring secret realm in the deepest part of the secluded valley. Everything is in progress, don't worry. Wang Yu Lu Ding, everyone, he was dead. A single goodbye, but those words caused everyone's bodies to explode with cold. A cold wind blew past their heads, and everyone subconsciously took a step back, maintaining some distance from Lin Li. It was too terrifying, although he already knew that Lin Ray was strong, but it had only been a short time, and he also knew that many crepe myrtle cultivators had come this time. How could they accept the fact that he had died so easily? Moreover, he had offended so many sects in a row, and if they came looking for him in the future, what would he do? Thinking of the various consequences, Wang Yu cried. What the hell was this? There was a price to pay for hiring Lin Ray. Now, not only did he have to pay financially, but he also had to pay mentally and spiritually. This was a loss, a complete loss. Moreover, when Linray left in the future, his secluded valley would be in danger of being destroyed. Thinking of this, his heart ached, and he wished he could take a sword and kill himself right now. Now, he felt that perhaps he was too tired. Of course, he couldn't express these thoughts. Facing Linray, Wang Yu smiled and nodded. Say, Senior, you've worked hard. Linray sneered in his heart at Wang Yu's current appearance. There was naturally a price to pay for asking him to take action. All right, let's end this here. The Dragon Spring secret realm is probably going to open soon. At that time, it's up to you how to enter. I'm going to bring them in. Pointing at the two at the side, he continued, Remember, when you're inside, you go your own way. I don't have time to be your nanny, understand? After saying that, he turned around and waved to Fong. Excellent. Let's go, it's time to enter. Saying that, the three of them disappeared at the entrance and walked towards the secluded valley again. In the depths of the secluded valley, the red flame tiger moved quickly and released his divine sense to search for the Grand Supreme of the secluded valley. His figure flashed quickly, and soon he appeared behind the Grand Supreme of the secluded valley. The Grand Supreme of the secluded valley was originally busy, but he seemed to have heard a voice behind him. His body paused, and the voice entered the red flame tiger's ears. Didn't I tell you that if you want to enter the Dragon Spring secret realm, you have to wait for a while? Wait for me to set it up before the entrance can be opened. This is the rule of my secluded valley. How could you? Turning around, just as he was about to get angry, the red flame tiger's figure fell into the Grand Supreme's eyes. Suddenly, his voice stopped abruptly, and he was stunned. Are you those old farts, or? The Grand Supreme was not sure if those people were guarding outside. Logically speaking, no one should be able to enter. Looking at the old man, the red flame tiger smiled and waved his hand. Relax, I'm not someone that can be controlled by that group of nobodies. Saying that, he walked to the front of the old man and reached out to stroke his beard. He continued, How is it? When will the Dragon Spring secret realm open? Previously, when I heard about the various things inside from Daylily, I almost couldn't help but want to find out. Saying that, he looked at the old man expectantly. Daylily. Originally, he still had doubts about the red flame tiger's identity, but now that he heard about Daylily, his eyes narrowed. He said in a low voice, What did Daylily, this brat, say? Also, where's he now? This brat is getting more and more disobedient. I told the secrets of the secluded valley to an outsider. Saying that, the old man was furious, as if he could do anything to Daylily in front of him. Seeing the old man like this, the red flame tiger grinned and shrugged, secretly apologizing to Daylily. Sigh. With a sigh, the old man turned around and started fiddling again. However, he didn't have the passion from before. What's wrong with you? Walking to the front of the old man, he looked at the old man's depressed expression. What happened? Don't tell me if the Dragon Spring secret realm is open or not. Looking up at the red flame tiger, the old man was sweating profusely. A strange look flashed across his eyes. This guy, Daylily, he's back? Instead of answering the red flame tiger's question, he asked, Yes, he's back. The red flame tiger didn't hide anything and continued. Not only him, but Lu Ding from Huanghui City and the little guys from their city are also here. Lu Ding is here too. Yes, he's here. All right. The old man nodded and looked at the red flame tiger. He asked curiously, Why do you want to enter the Dragon Spring secret realm so much? Logically speaking, with your cultivation, the things inside shouldn't be of any help. You're right. Although he didn't know what cultivation the red flame tiger had, he couldn't see through it. In that case, the other party's cultivation should be very good. So, The red flame tiger laughed. He didn't want to talk too much about cultivation. The Dragon Spring secret realm is just like what this king told you before. Daylily told me a lot of secrets inside. This king really wants to see the cities in the secret realm and the dragon race. Moreover, he looked at the old man and said helplessly, You might not believe me, but it's just too boring here. There are no experts here, and there's nothing fun here. It's not even as fun as the Saints' world. At least, there are experts everywhere. Here, he curled his lips to express his dissatisfaction. However, he didn't notice that when the secluded valley's grand elder heard this, he was shocked for a long time, especially the words sacred world. As a person who had lived for a long time, he naturally heard some rumors. Therefore, he believed the red flame tiger's words. However, when he thought about how Daylily told him everything about the Dragon Spring's secret realm, he felt depressed. Sigh, it seems that my secluded valley has really declined. He sighed and didn't say anything else. The red flame tiger naturally didn't say anything else. He found a clean stone at the side and lay down on it, quietly waiting for Lin Ray's arrival. Outside, Lin Ray returned to the battlefield. Looking at the corpses on the ground and the small river of blood, there was no change in his eyes. At this moment, Lao Bai, who was in the center, saw Lin Ray and the others arrive. He strolled to Lin Ray's side and said, "The relatives you asked for are done." After saying that, he turned and walked to his wife and son. He felt that today was the most tiring day of his life. Linley sighed when he saw Senior White in such a state. He was slightly unable to figure out how Senior White had managed to survive until now. This was the first time he saw a demon being a little unwilling to kill a human. Moreover, he could feel that Lao Bai didn't like to kill unless he had no other choice. Sigh. With a sigh, he flipped his hand and a bottle of elixirs appeared. He passed it to Lao Bai and said, "The elixirs in this bottle can help you break through quickly without any side effects. Now that you're following Xiao Hu, your cultivation is too weak." Hearing this, Lao Bai was stunned. After hesitating for a moment, he took the bottle and thanked Lin Ray. "Okay, let's go." Chapter 1357. In the empty underworld region, in the Hongtian Imperial Palace, Li Jiping stood before the throne. Helplessness, confusion, and determination flashed through his eyes. His expression was extremely complicated. Below Li Jiping, Fan Jun, Aunt Meng, and the others were all looking at Li Jiping. There was only excitement in their eyes. That was because at this moment, the Hongtian Empire had truly become Li Jiping's Hongtian Empire. Their wish and goal had finally been accomplished. How could they not be excited? "Welcome, my lord, to the throne." Just as the palace was completely silent and Li Jiping was hesitating, Fan Jun's voice sounded. He knelt on the ground and saluted Li Jiping. "Welcome, my lord, to the throne." Immediately, Aunt Meng and the others came back to their senses. A strange look flashed through their eyes. They immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Li Jiping like Fan Jun, "Welcome, my lord." In an instant, the entire imperial palace was filled with voices that shook the heavens. It was unprecedented. Even when the previous emperor, Hongji, ascended to the throne, he did not have such an imposing manner. Sigh. A heavy sigh sounded in the palace. Li Jiping turned around and looked at the people kowtowing below him. His eyes were filled with helplessness. Perhaps in the eyes of Fan Jun and the others, this was the best situation. In fact, they had always thought that this was what Li Jiping deserved. However, in his heart, this was not what he had hoped for. He only wanted to be a prince, a useful person who could plead for the people and ensure the safety of the people. Unfortunately, on the throne of the emperor equal to one side by side, one's accomplishments would shock the emperor. This was something that no emperor wished to see. That was because it was a threat to the throne, a threat to them. Now, Hongji's wish was fulfilled. He had successfully forced Li Jiping and the others to rebel. Of course, rather than saying that, it would be better to say that he was following the will of the people. That was because in the hearts of the people of the Hongtian Empire, Li Jiping was more useful than Hongtian. He was able to ensure the safety of the people of the Hongtian Empire. This was what they wanted to see and hoped for. "Your Majesty, this is what you deserve." Below, Fan Jun understood what Li Jiping was thinking. No one dared to say anything. However, he was different. He knew that he would not be able to stay here for long. As soon as his voice rang out, everyone's eyes focused on him. At the side, Annie Meng looked at Fan Jun with a strange look in her eyes. During this period of time, she could sense that Fan Jun had changed. He had become someone she did not recognize. Looking at Li Jiping above, Fan Jun said respectfully, "Your Majesty." When Hong Ji was on the throne, he did not know how to belittle the people. Look at the suffering of Emperor Hong's people. Hong Ji has already lost his power. Even without you, there would be someone else. Rather than that, why don't you take the throne? Only you can truly protect the safety of the people of Hong Tian. The people of Hong Tian also hope that you can do so. That's right, Your Majesty. This is what you deserve. Other than you, who else in Hong Tian has this ability? Yes, Your Majesty, take the throne. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Everyone kowtowed again. This time, they didn't get up. Instead, they kept their heads close to the ground. If Li Jiping didn't agree, they wouldn't get up. All of you, looking at the people below, Li Jiping had already made a decision. Fan Jun was right. He had seen what Hong Ji did all these years. However, he didn't preach because of the matters of his ancestors. Sighing, the emotions in his eyes disappeared. Now, there was only determination. Turning around, he looked at the throne in front of him. Finally, he sat on it. All right, since that's the case, then, I will not decline. The moment he said that, the entire Hong Tian shook. The fate energy of Hong Tian started to swarm towards Li Jiping. 10,000 meters above Hong Tian's royal palace, Ouyang Zhen, who was resting with his eyes closed, felt the movement of the fate energy below. Suddenly, his closed eyes opened. A glint flashed across his eyes, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Finally, the mission that young master gave me is completed. Li Jiping has finally unified Hong Tian. Fixing his gaze on the royal palace below, he stood up and patted his clothes. Then he flew down. Now that Li Jiping had unified Hong Tian, there was no need for Fan Jun to stay here. It was time for him to leave. In the royal palace, when Fan Jun and the others heard Li Jiping's acknowledgement of the throne, they heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you, Your Majesty. Long live the Emperor. Everyone, you may rise. Everyone stood up with relaxed smiles on their faces. Now, the only thing left for Hong Tian's system was the coronation ceremony. From now on, Hong Tian would belong to Li Jiping's family. Phew! Looking at the smiling Li Jiping, Fan Jun let out a long sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on his face. It's time for me to leave. Just now, he felt Ouyang Zhen's aura. He knew that it was time for him to leave. Looking at the smiling Aunt Ming, his eyes were filled with reluctance. Now that everything had calmed down, he had to leave. Once he left, they would be separated forever. What's wrong? Aunt Ming seemed to have felt the reluctance in Fan Jun's eyes and asked. During this period of time, she always felt that Fan Jun was hiding something from her. However, she didn't know how to tell him. Now that she felt it again, she spoke. She felt that if she didn't speak now, she might not have the chance in the future. She opened her mouth, wanting to tell him what was on her mind. However, thinking that they wouldn't meet again, she didn't say anything. She squeezed out a smile and said, "No, nothing. I just feel a little tired. Now that Hong Tian's system is here, I have no place to use my skills." As she spoke, she looked into the distance and said, "So, it's time to retire and live a peaceful life." Fan Jun seemed to have forgotten where he was and didn't restrain his voice. When the surrounding people heard Fan Jun's words, they were stunned. Their eyes locked onto Fan Jun. They didn't understand why Fan Jun would have such thoughts. Now that the country had just started, it was time for them to use people. Why would he do this? What happened? This isn't Q? At this moment, Aunt Ming was sure that this wasn't Fan Jun. This wasn't the Fan Jun she knew. Fan Jun, what's wrong with you? Above, Li Jiping frowned and asked. Ignoring the gazes of the crowd, he turned around and faced the outside. A relaxed smile appeared on his face. At this moment, he had gotten over it. It's time to leave. After saying that, he walked out of the hall. Aunt Ming, remember to live well in the future. Don't force yourself into a dead end. This way, your life might become better. As he spoke, he walked out of the hall. He raised his head and looked at the sky, waiting for Ouyang Zhen's arrival. Where are you going? Looking at Fan Jun outside, she felt an indescribable pain in her heart. It was as if she was about to lose the most important person to her. Chapter 1358. Fan Jun, should we be on our way? Just as Aunt Meng and the others were looking at Fan Jun and waiting for his answer, an unquestionable voice sounded in their ears. I'm ready. Looking at Ouyang Zhen, who was standing in the air, there was no fear in Fan Jun's eyes. There was only relief. It was as if he was about to walk on the path of liberation. Yeah, you're quite tactful. Looking at Fan Jun, Ouyang Zhen's figure flashed and appeared beside him. After leaving this time, I'm afraid you won't be able to return. Are you sure you don't want to bid farewell to the person you care about? Others might not know, but after following Fan Jun for so long, how could he not know that Fan Jun's heart belonged to someone else? Unfortunately, they had feelings for each other. Ouyang Zhen also felt that it was a pity. After all, Fan Jun's one-sided dedication was quite admirable. You are? Seeing Ouyang Zhen's sudden appearance, Aunt Meng was in a daze. The scene from back then flashed in her mind. Instantly, she remembered Ouyang Zhen. You that expert from back then? Ha! Turning his head, his gaze locked onto Aunt Meng. A trace of interest flashed in his eyes as he looked at her. Little girl, I didn't expect you to still remember me. After saying that, he took a step forward and walked toward Aunt Meng. That's right, I am that person from back then. However, after taking a step forward, his figure instantly appeared beside Aunt Meng. This scene caused the surrounding people to exclaim in surprise. Only Li Jiping and the others who had seen it before were not shocked. Do you know what you want in your heart? Although he was very displeased with Fan Jun's previous actions, after interacting with him for so many days and Fan Jun had already consumed the soul-controlling pill, he subconsciously treated Fan Jun as one of his own. Senior, don't say, shut up. Ouyang Zhen berated. Looking at Ouyang Zhen, a strange look flashed in her eyes. She understood what Ouyang Zhen was saying, but all right. Since you're not going to say it, there's no problem. Taking a step back, he arrived before Fan Jun again and looked at him sympathetically. I didn't expect you to not get the answer you wanted in the end. How is it? You have no regrets now. Let's go. After saying that, he started walking out of the palace. Fan Jun naturally followed him. Fan Jun, you're leaving? The panicked Annie Meng looked at Fan Jun's departing figure and quickly chased after him. She panicked. Even when Fan Jun left the military camp, she was still like this because she knew that they would have a chance to meet again. But now, she had a feeling that after leaving this time, it would be difficult for them to meet again in this lifetime. So, it's fine. He didn't turn his head back, nor did he stop. After that, the two of them gradually disappeared from the eyes of the crowd. Plop. He left. You really left? Won't come back anymore. She sat on the ground weakly and tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes. Do I have you in my heart? Looking in the direction that Fan Jun left in, Auntie Meng muttered to herself. She was lost and helpless. In the distance, Li Jiping sighed when he saw Aunt Meng acting like this. How could he not understand Aunt Meng's feelings towards him? However, he did not have such thoughts. Moreover, he could tell that Fan Jun was interested in Aunt Meng. He did not expect that things would end up like this. The capital city was on the peak of the Foggy Lamp Mountain. After leaving the Imperial Palace, Ouyang Zhen brought Fan Jun directly to this place. It's finally done. Next, it's time to deal with your matter. Ouyang Zhen looked at Fan Jun and said as he took out a jade pendant from his bosom. Wait, after I ask the sovereign, let's see what your final outcome is. Without waiting for Fan Jun's reply, Ouyang Zhen activated the jade pendant and communicated with Lin Rui, who was in the Netherworld. You are in the valley of the Netherworld. You are on the way to the depths of the valley to meet up with the Scarlet Flame Tiger. Suddenly, a white light flashed from the storage ring and the footsteps stopped. Ouyang Zhen, as he thought, he took out the communication jade pendant and activated it. Suddenly, Ouyang Zhen's voice sounded from the jade pendant. Sovereign, Li Jiping has unified the Hongtian Empire. Oh, This news made Lin Ray excited. This was the best news he had heard since he came to the empty nether region. Sovereign, Li Jiping has unified the Hongtian Empire. Then, Ouyang Zheng looked at Fan Jun and continued. Fan Jun, how should we deal with him? Upon hearing Fan Jun's name, Lin Li fell into deep thought. Logically speaking, he had originally wanted to kill Fan Jun and be done with him. But now that so much time had passed, and considering what Fan Jun had done, his desire to kill him had faded. Forget it. There's no need to kill him. Previously, I couldn't stand his arrogance. Now that it's been such a long time, forget it. When Ouyang Zheng heard this, he was stunned for a moment before he understood. He looked at Fan Jun with a smile. He didn't want to make a move against Fan Jun. He knew that the soul domination pill was very precious to him. Now that Fan Jun had eaten the soul domination pill, it was equivalent to the soul domination pill. Moreover, Fan Jun's cultivation talent was still not bad. Now that he was the only one in the empty nether region, it would be nice to have someone to accompany him. Sovereign, since that's the case, why don't you let him follow me? I can teach him some cultivation techniques during this period of time and let him accompany me. Okay. Without hesitation, he agreed. Understood, Sovereign. Sovereign, do you have any other instructions? No. You stay there and wait for me to return. After that, we will leave this place and return to the holy world. All right, that's all. I still have things to do here. After saying that, he hung up without waiting for Ouyang Zheng's reply. Looking at the jade pendant in his hand, Ouyang Zheng shook his head helplessly and kept the jade pendant in his arms. At the side, Fan Jun waited nervously. He was waiting for the final result. Whether he lived or died, it would be decided in the next few minutes. This guy, looking at Fan Jun's nervous expression, Ouyang Zheng smiled and reached out to touch the barrier. He said to Fan Jun, Sovereign's decision is what? What is it? Fan Jun took a step forward and whispered into his ear. Sovereign's decision is to not kill you and let you follow me to cultivate. When Ouyang Zheng said that, Fan Jun, who was too nervous, relaxed his body and spirit and fell to the ground. No need to die. No need to die. Ouyang Zheng nodded in confirmation. Of course, not dying doesn't mean you can leave. For the next period of time, you will follow me to cultivate. Before you reach the nascent soul realm, you can't leave this place. Do you understand? Nascent soul realm, what is that? Fan Jun was stunned. Ouyang Zheng, he let it go. There were no cultivators here, so they didn't know about the realm. Chapter 1359. Netherworld, Secluded Valley. After hanging up the communication with Ouyang Zheng, Lin Ray heard a system notification in his mind. Ding! Mission completed. Mission reward. Chance of returning to the sacred world +1. Ding! Host, do you want to return to the sacred world? Hearing the system notification, Lin Ray's body paused, and he subconsciously wanted to return. After all, the sacred world was his home ground, and this was just a small interlude. But, system, how long will it take for the system to upgrade? Thinking of the other mission, Lin Ray hesitated. Ding! The exact time is uncertain. It depends on the speed of the system's energy absorption. If it's fast, it'll take a few months or a year. If it's hard, it'll take 10 to 20 years. *CK, Lin Ray was dumbfounded. It would take 10 to 20 years for the system to upgrade to the king level. This meant that he had to wait here for another 10 to 20 years. All right, host, don't you want to explore the Dragon Springs secret realm? Moreover, don't forget that there's still the mission to help Yi Xiang enter the Sword Sect. So, host, there's still a long way to go. There are so many things to do. If you want to return to the sacred world, it'll take at least 10 to 20 years. Lin Ray didn't refute. Since the system had given him a time, the only thing he could do now was to wait. After all, it was necessary for the system to upgrade to the king level. The nether chi here could quickly increase the speed of the system's upgrade. Moreover, there was also Yi Xiang's mission to upgrade by 1 level. How could he not be excited? All right, since that's the case, then, no, if I don't return now, will I lose the chance to return to the sacred world? His expression was tense as he waited for the system's response. Now, the chance to return was in front of him. If he could return in the future, it would be fine. If he wasted this chance, then don't worry. Host worries are purely for show. If host doesn't use it this time, the chance to return will naturally be left for the next time you return. So, host, don't worry. What you're worried about will definitely not happen. After saying this, the system's voice disappeared and returned to silence. As for Lin Ray, his originally tense figure instantly relaxed. That's good, that's good. After the matter was settled, all that was left was to wait for the system to level up and complete Yi Xiang's mission before returning to the sacred world. Just thinking about it made Lin Ray feel even more anxious to return home. He couldn't hold it in any longer. They had been out for such a long time. If the system hadn't notified them that the Xuanzong sect wasn't in danger, they would have been dead. Let's continue. On the road again, Lin Ray and the others soon arrived at the depths of the valley that their divine sense had explored before. Brother Lei, you're finally here. A figure instantly appeared in front of Lin Li. That fawning look on his face caused everyone watching to stare blankly. Looking at the scarlet flame tiger, Lin Ray gently smiled and reached out to stroke the scarlet flame tiger's head. You're already so old, yet you're still like this. Brother Lei, no matter how old I am, I will continue to be like this. Besides, I'm your battle pet. Who can say anything? Who dares to say anything? As it spoke, it swept its gaze over the surrounding people with killing intent. Instantly, the surrounding people subconsciously lowered their heads, not daring to look at the crimson flame tiger in the eye. Even Lao Bai did the same. This was the first time he had seen the crimson flame tiger with such a murderous aura. At this moment, everyone was filled with fear towards the scarlet flame tiger. Under this level of pressure, it was already good that their souls weren't shattered. Of course, Lin Ray was secretly manipulating it. Otherwise, everyone present would have been in danger. That's enough, little tiger. Seeing little tiger's behavior getting worse, Lin Ray hurriedly reached out to stop it. You came early. How are things here? Is the Dragon Spring secret realm suitable to open? As soon as he said this, the scarlet flame tiger came back to its senses and quickly withdrew its killing intent. It looked at the crowd guiltily and then replied to Lin Ray with a serious expression. Brother Lei, the Dragon Spring secret realm will open later, so... It pointed to the old man who was working on the opening. Brother Lei, this is the Grand Elder of the secluded valley who is opening the Dragon Spring secret realm this time. Oh, looking at the person the Scarlet Flame Tiger was pointing at, all the information of the other party instantly appeared before his eyes. Name, Jiokui gender, male cultivation, Star Sage. When he saw the old man's cultivation, Lin Ray was slightly stunned. He glanced at daylily at the side and then continued reading. Identity, Grand Elder of the secluded valley. He hid his cultivation very well. Damn, this guy. Looking at the old man's information, Lin Ray was stunned. This guy hid so well that no one had discovered him for such a long time. This guy must be a Star Sage. He stepped in front of the old man and fixed his eyes on the things in the old man's hands. His gaze became serious. Old man, when will the Dragon Spring secret realm open? 6 hours. After 6 hours, the Dragon Spring secret realm will be fully opened. At that time, no movement is allowed within a radius of a few 100,000 miles. Otherwise, the secret realm will close. If you want to open it again, you will have to wait for a period of time. Hearing the old man's words, Lin Ray did not continue. Since the time was confirmed, there was nothing more to say. He glanced at the place where the Scarlet Flame Tiger was sitting before and then sat down and began to wait. However, in the outside world, in the empty underworld region, Ouyang Zheng explained some of the classification of the cultivation world and did things that were very likely to happen in the path of cultivation, including killing people and robbing them of their treasures. Looking at Fan Jun's face that seemed to understand, Ouyang Zheng let out a long breath and then returned to normal. He understood that more haste, less speed. Fan Jun had just started cultivating not long ago. In addition, His body did not have any cultivation and only had the divine power of the soul-controlling pill. Other than instinct, he knew nothing else. Let's stop here for today. From today onwards, you will start cultivating in seclusion. Before you reach the nascent soul realm, you're not allowed to go out. Remember, you're not allowed to go anywhere. Otherwise, looking at Fan Jun, he pointed at the place where Aunt Meng was and continued, "She will die. Life or death. It depends on you. Understood?" After saying that, he turned and left. Without waiting for Fan Jun to speak, his figure disappeared. "Sigh, this person." Looking at Fan Jun leaving, Fan Jun muttered. However, the moment he lowered his head, a storage ring appeared in his eyes. He reached out and grabbed the storage ring in his hand. His spiritual sense instantly connected with the storage ring, and his consciousness entered the storage ring. He saw clearly that in the storage ring, other than the life storage, the rest were the pieces of dazzling spirit stones. These things were what Fan Jun needed the most now. Immediately, there were elixirs, talismans, and everything else. Chapter 1360. If it was before, Fan Jun did not have much confidence in entering the nascent soul realm. After all, after knowing the cultivation level, he knew that he was facing a huge gap. However, with the cultivation resources in the storage ring, everything was different. I hope I can break through quickly. After saying that, he started to cultivate the cultivation techniques that Ouyang Zhen gave him. In the netherworld, in a secluded valley, 6 hours passed very quickly. Lin Rei was still sitting at the side, resting with his eyes closed. As for the remaining people, except for Lao Bai, his wife, and the Red Flame Tiger, the others were all standing. No one dared to sit down. "Grand Elder, it's time to start the Dragon's Spring Secret Realm." After waiting for a long time, and seeing that it was about time, Worryless stepped forward and said to the Grand Elder, "You brat." Looking at Worryless, the old man was furious. Previously, the Red Flame Tiger had told him everything. "Little bastard, you've already told others about the things in the secret realm. There's only so much in the secluded valley." Hearing the Grand Elder's reprimand, Worryless helplessly looked at the Red Flame Tiger, who had nothing to do. Then, he lowered his head and listened seriously. However, the old man clearly did not want to say much to Worryless. He sighed and said earnestly, "Worryless, this time, when the Dragon Spring secret realm opens, you'll be outside." "You." Hearing this, Worryless looked up at the old man. Looking at the old man, he seemed to understand something. "Grand Elder, you're not going in, right?" Everyone's eyes focused on the two of them. "That's right." The old man did not hide anything and nodded. He looked carefree and did not care. "It's time to leave. Initially, I wanted to enter, but at that time, your cultivation was too weak. Now, with you and those old guys in the sect, I believe that no one will dare to cause trouble in the secluded valley for a short period of time." He understood that the Red Flame Tiger had already said that those who came previously had all been killed. Therefore, he knew that it was time to leave. "Grand Elder, you should know that once you leave, there will be no turning back. So many sect masters entered back then, but none of them have returned. Are you willing?" He wanted to say something, but hesitated. His eyes were filled with reluctance. So what if he was reluctant? This was the rules set by the founder. It was not up to him. Alas, forget it. The rules of the valley cannot be broken. Besides, as the Grand Elder of the Deep Valley, I must set an example. As he spoke, he saw that Wang Yu still wanted to say something, so he hurriedly raised his hand to stop him. "All right, stop blabbering. Let's open the Dragon's Spring Mystery Realm first." As he spoke, he took out something that looked like a token from his bosom and walked to an altar in front of him. There was a concave shape on the altar, which corresponded to the token in the old man's hand. "Cultivation base, get ready. The secret realm is about to open." After saying those words, he slammed his palm heavily onto the altar. With a kacha sound, the token was accurately embedded in the concave shape. Rumble! Suddenly, the secluded valley began to tremble. The originally clear sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, and thunder rumbled incessantly. "Not simple. Lin Rei said as he felt the changes in the surrounding aura and the strange colors flashing above his head. He got up and walked to the old man's side, standing side by side with him. At this moment, he was serious. He understood that this place was definitely not as simple as he thought. Perhaps there really was a small world inside. Who knows? Rumble. As time passed, the rumbling sounds became louder and louder. In front of them, the originally empty space suddenly became restless. The next moment, a vortex appeared out of nowhere, as if it had never disappeared. It appeared. Seeing the vortex appear, the old man's face was filled with excitement, and his eyes were filled with madness. It's been 1,000 years. Finally, my mission is completed. He turned his head and looked at Wang Yu with a serious expression. Remember, the rules of the secluded valley cannot be broken. Find a successor and groom him well. I will wait for you inside. After saying those words, he turned around and ignored the old man. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the vortex. Let's go. Lin Rei's senses were very strong. Just now, he felt that the space tunnel was connected, and he could enter. After saying that, he walked in. The red flaming tiger and the rest naturally followed behind him. Swish! Suddenly, when Lin Rei arrived in front of the vortex and stepped in with one foot, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from the other side of the vortex. Not good. Retreat. After saying that, he quickly retreated and distanced himself from the entrance of the vortex. When Lin Rei retreated, the others naturally did not dare to delay. How powerful was Lin Rei? Even he had to step on the vortex. Naturally, they did not dare to stay any longer. Brother Lei, why, it's coming. Not understanding what the red flaming tiger said, Lin Rei raised his hand and circulated his cultivation. He looked as if he was ready to attack at any time. Poof! Finally, the sound of something breaking through the air was getting closer. Finally, a bloody light rushed out of the vortex with a shocking murderous aura and rushed towards Lin Rei. Brother Lei, be careful. Feeling the murderous aura, the red flaming tiger squinted and quickly reminded him. Pretending to be mysterious. He raised his hand. A devouring force flashed from Lin Rei's hand. Suddenly, the bloody light that was flying in front of him collided with Lin Rei's power. The originally violent, murderous aura began to retract at this moment. Clang! A sound similar to the sound of a sword rang out. Lin Rei, who was closest to it, felt it. A strange look flashed in his eyes, and he immediately grabbed it in his hand. Ding! Discovered a first-grade Dao artifact. Ding! The first-grade Dao artifact is covered with a dense, murderous aura. Host, please be careful. This item can easily affect the mind, especially those who have killed the host too much. Oh! Hearing the system notification, Lin Rei frowned. He had heard of Dao artifact before. Dao artifact was above Saint artifact. A first-grade Dao artifact actually appeared here and flew out from the other side of the vortex. Since that was the case, what kind of world was on the other side to have such an item? At this moment, Lin Rei was even more curious. Suppress for me. Feeling the murderous aura in his hand beginning to counterattack, it began to seep into Lin Rei's body. Suddenly, Lin Rei was stunned and hurriedly activated the devouring heaven art. A mere murderous aura dares to try to devour me. The devouring force increased. Suddenly, the murderous aura under Lin Rei's devouring force began to flow into Lin Rei's spiritual palace. This energy is so pure. His cultivation that had been stagnant for a long time began to improve after absorbing the murderous aura. Although it was not as good as the floating treasure mirror, it was still very impressive. Ding! Weapon. Wenzong, first-grade Dao artifact, can be upgraded with killing. The user must have a natural killing physique or be a Buddhist to suppress the murderous aura. Otherwise, it will be devoured and controlled by Wenzong and become a killing tool. Chapter 1361. Wenzong. Hearing the system mention the name of the weapon in his hand and the power it displayed, the name Wenzong was indeed very suitable for him. when Zong buried everything. This made Lin Rei want to know the creator of this weapon. To be able to refine such a powerful weapon, it meant that the creator was very confident. Furthermore, his heart was very murderous. Brother Lei, how is it? Seeing Lin Rei standing still and the murderous aura emitted by the weapon being suppressed, the Scarlet Flame Tiger came before Lin Rei and asked. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on the two of them. They wanted to see the result. Of course, more importantly, they wanted to see how powerful this weapon was. Being able to fly out of the Dragon Spring secret realm on its own without a master, this caused everyone to be shocked, especially the people from the secluded valley. They had been guarding the Dragon Spring for generations, and such a thing had never happened before. However, at this moment, not bad. This weapon is very powerful. At the very least, the current me is still unable to use it as I wish. What? Brother Lei, even you? The Scarlet Flame Tiger was shocked. Everyone was shocked. Others might not know, but he was very clear about how powerful Lin Rei was. Now, even he was unable to use it. Didn't that mean that this weapon's grade was very high? Sai, what's there to be surprised about? If you can't use it, then so be it. This weapon is too evil. It requires a murderous heart. This means that everyone here, including me, after using this weapon for a long time, will eventually become this weapon's slave. In the end, they will be at its beck and call and will no longer have their own consciousness. Hiss! Hearing Lin Rei's explanation, everyone present couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. They looked at Wenzong in shock. Subconsciously, they thought of the frightening scene earlier and subconsciously took a step back. Snatch! What a joke. In Lin Rei's place, snatching was fine. However, you must have the ability to do so. Even if you manage to snatch it, it would be useless. Other things aside, this Wenzong. If anyone here used it, they would immediately become its slave. Lin Rei took in everyone's actions. He smiled and casually placed Wenzong into his storage ring. Let's go. Let's see what happened in the Dragon Spring for such a weapon to flow out. At this moment, he really wanted to find the answer. A grade 1 Dao artifact was able to appear in this place. This caused him to be extremely shocked. Furthermore, what was going on inside? He did everything he could to escape, but he risked his life to rush out. After saying that, he turned around and took a step forward, disappearing before everyone's eyes. Brother Lei, wait for me. Seeing that Lin Rei had disappeared, the Scarlet Flaming Tiger became anxious. Old White, hurry up and follow him. How many people have died to cause this world to become like this? In his consciousness, the entire world was blood red. He meant that the ground was filled with corpses. This made Lin Rei think of the massacre of his family. Scram, get out of here! Suddenly, an explosive shout rang out from Linley's mouth. Immediately, a golden light awoke within Linley's body. The baleful aura which had entered his body, under the effect of the golden light, was instantly purified and disappeared. Humph! After coldly snorting, Lin Rei turned around and looked at the whirlpool behind him. After feeling the terror of this place, he had no choice but to protect the Scarlet Flame Tiger and the others. He had the protection of the Devouring Heavenly Art, so it was nothing. After all, the Devouring Heavenly Art could refine all living things. It was not a problem for the Blood Chi. However, the Scarlet Flame Tiger and the others were different. They were demonic beasts, and the blood chi in their bodies was already very strong. If they were guided by the blood chi, they would definitely lose control, and their bestial nature would be unleashed. At that time, it would be troublesome. Whoosh! Just as he was thinking, the whirlpool moved, and the Scarlet Flame Tiger's figure appeared in front of Lin Rei. Soul, locking formation. Suddenly, the moment the Scarlet Flame Tiger appeared, without waiting for the blood chi in the surroundings to react, Lin Rei used a protective formation to lock it in place. Brother Lei, looking at the formation around him, the Scarlet Flame Tiger was puzzled. Go to the side. If you don't want anything to happen to Old Bai's family, then hurry up and move aside. Chapter 1362. Oh. Although they did not know what was going on, they still cooked and stayed aside obediently. They did not want to make any noise for fear of disturbing Lin Ray. With the help of the Flaming Tiger's cultivation chain, White and the others appeared not long after the Flaming Tiger came out. Soul-locking array. Suddenly, 3 soul-locking formations appeared and imprinted themselves on the bodies of Lao Bai and the other 2, especially on the body of the little white ape. Because the ape was still young, Linley was not very relieved in the end, so he set up 2 more formations, both of which were used to isolate the evil blood aura. Okay. Hearing this, the Flaming Tiger quickly stepped forward, looked at Lin Ray, and asked the question in its heart. Brother Lei, just now, Lin Ray was speechless. Looking at the Flaming Tiger, Lin Ray's eyes flashed with a touch of helplessness. He really wanted to know how the Flaming Tiger could survive until now. How could it not understand such a simple principle? He rolled his eyes at Little White, then pointed to the surroundings and explained, "The surroundings are full of evil blood chi. When I came in just now, I was almost killed. If I'm already like this, what about you? What kind of scene do you think you will be in when the blood chi fills your hearts?" Suddenly, everyone understood. They knew the answer very well. There were only 2 final results. 1, they would become killing tools, and 2, they would explode and die. Not necessarily. White and the other 2 repeatedly thanked Lin Ray. They knew that Lin Ray cared about them, and they felt warm in their hearts. Looking at the 4 people, Lin Ray shook his head and waved his hand with a wry smile. He said indifferently, "Let's go. Let's walk around in front. Brother Lei, aren't we waiting for the Grand Elder of the Deep Valley?" Them? Linley pondered deeply for a moment when he heard Senior White, and then he shook his head. There's no need to wait. That old fellow should be fine. As for Lu Ding and the others, they came here to temper themselves. If I were to interfere, then their tempering wouldn't be tempering anymore. After that, he did not give them a chance to talk again and turned to walk away. "You bastard." Seeing that Lin Ray had left, the Crimson Flame Tiger came to Senior White's side and lectured earnestly. "Senior White, actually, there are some things that you don't have to deliberately mention. Brother Lei already knows. Just like Lu Ding and the others. If they come in, that's their problem. It has nothing to do with us. You have to understand that there are many pitiful people in the world. How many can you save? If that's the case, I might as well take care of myself. As long as I'm fine, everything will be fine. That's right, old boy. Let's not care about these things in the future." Fongxin agreed from his side. Senior White fell silent for a long time when he heard this, and then he nodded and said, "All right, I understand. All right, let's go." He jogged a few steps with Senior White and finally caught up to Lin Ray. In this place, following Lin Ray was the wisest choice. Otherwise, there would only be one outcome waiting for them, and that was death. Ding. Scanning complete. Would the host like to check? Lin Ray, who was walking in front, stopped in his tracks and was stunned. Brother Tiger, this... Is Brother Lei regretting it and wants to go back?" Senior White looked at Lin Ray and asked. The Crimson Flame Tiger was speechless. In response to Senior White's question, the Crimson Flame Tiger really wanted to pry open his head and see what was inside. "Lower your voice. Brother Lei's situation is very normal. You'll know in the future." After saying that, he walked to the side and began to guard Lin Ray. Senior White and the other 2 followed suit. In the system space, Lin Ray looked up at the sky. "Hurry up, don't waste time." Ding. Would the host like to check? Damn it. Hearing that the system was still acting as usual, Lin Ray was helpless. "Open check. Ding. Okay." In the next moment, a screen appeared in front of Lin Ray. A few lines of words fell into Lin Ray's eyes. "The bloody battlefield is a place dyed red with blood. This place is full of killing and blood. Because of the long-term baptism of blood, this place is full of blood evil chi and has an illusory effect. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that this place has the greatest influence on those who have killed countless people and have strong killing intent. Lastly, let me remind you that there is something very interesting here. The bloody battlefield." After exiting the system space, He looked around. Previously, he thought that this place was just a projection. Now, after hearing the system's words, it seemed that this was not a good place. A place dyed red with blood, and it asked me to pay attention to the things inside. It seems that this place is not very safe. With that thought, the chaotic dragon spear appeared in his hand. He circulated his cultivation and was ready to fight at any time. Brother Lay, although he did not know what was going on, the crimson flame tiger still circulated his cultivation and clenched his fists, ready to fight. Be careful. This place is not that simple. If you're not careful, you might lose your life. Then he looked at Lao Bai. Lin Ray said with guilt in his eyes, "The three of you, if you are afraid now, I can send you back. We want to open this place. You are just treated well. There is no need for you to take risks with us." Yes, Brother Lay is right. No matter how stupid the Crimson Flame Tiger was, he understood. He looked at Lao Bai and continued, "Lao Bai, if you want to leave, make a decision quickly." Looking at Lin Ray and Lao Bai's serious expressions and the smell of blood in the air, he knew that this place might be dangerous. But was it possible for him to leave now? Thinking about it, he glanced at his wife and said resolutely, "No, I will not leave." Lin Ray and the Crimson Flame Tiger looked at each other and were surprised. Obviously, Lao Bai's decision surprised them. Although it's dangerous here, it's still a good place to improve one's cultivation. I've been living too comfortably for a while now, so my cultivation hasn't made much progress. Therefore, I want to break through here and try to catch up to Brother Hu. As the saying goes, it is good to have a dream, but a dream is not realistic. Catch up with the Crimson Flame Tiger? What a joke. At least, it would be impossible for him to do it in 1,000 years. Moreover, even if he reached the Crimson Flame Tiger's current level, it would be a level higher. However, looking at Lao Bai's resolute expression, Lin Ray could not bear to give him a blow. He nodded and said, "Okay, then I will work hard." Since Lao Bai had decided not to leave, they should not stay any longer. "Okay, little tiger, protect Lao Bai's family later. Remember, do not act rashly. Leave everything to me. I will bring you out of here safely. Don't worry." Chapter 1363. Not long after Lin Ray left, the space vortex connecting the bloody battlefield and the secluded valley twisted. Then, the Grand Supreme of the secluded valley walked out. When the Grand Supreme appeared and saw the bloody space in front of him, he was stunned on the spot. Confusion appeared in his eyes. What's going on? Looking at the scene in front of him, the Grand Supreme was shocked. He had been to the Dragon Spring secret realm before. Back then, there were still green mountains and clear waters. Although there were dangers, it was completely different now. This was clearly a contrast between the two extremes. One was green mountains and clear waters. The other was a bloody battlefield filled with murderous aura. Not good. Suddenly, under the power of the Taishan's contemplation, a desire to kill rose in his heart. In the meantime, his body uncontrollably picked up a broken long sword from the ground, turned around, and pointed it at the vortex's entrance. What's going on? The Grand Supreme understood that the current situation was not good. If this continued, when Lu Ding and the rest appeared, there would be a bloody massacre, and this bloody battlefield would become even more bloody. The Tao is formless, but it gives birth to heaven and earth. The great Tao is emotionless, but it moves the sun and the moon. The great Tao is nameless, but it gives birth to all living things. I do not know its name, but I call it the Tao. The Tao has clear and turbid, movement and stillness. When the sky is clear and the earth is turbid, the sky moves and the earth is still. Men are clear and women are turbid. Men move and women are still. Falling to the bottom of the stream, but being born, closing his eyes to rest, the Grand Supreme began to recite the Tranquility Sutra in his heart. The Tranquility Sutra was not a combat technique, but if there was clear, one could get rid of the turbid aura in one's body. This Tranquility Sutra was a supreme treasure for cultivators with inner demons. Inside his body, Traces of murderous aura rushed out from his body. Such an obvious state made the Grand Supreme happy. At this moment, the murderous intent in his heart decreased by a lot. This is the Dragon Spring secret realm? However, just when the Grand Supreme thought that he could control the murderous intent in his heart, Lu Ding's voice entered his ears. Suddenly, his originally closed eyes opened, and a blood-red color flashed. The murderous intent in his heart surged. Even the Tranquility Sutra was useless. Kill, kill, kill. At this moment, the Grand Supreme started to lose his mind. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill the person in front of him. He raised his hand and pointed the longsword in his hand. You, Lu Ding, who was in the midst of experiencing the world, sensed Grand Supreme's murderous intent. He frowned and took a step back. A long spear appeared in his hand as he took a defensive stance. Grand Supreme, what are you doing? I'm Lu Ding from Huanghui City. You. Seeing that the Grand Supreme's expression was getting more and more confused, Lu Ding quickly reminded him. However, just as he was reminding Lu Ding, the surrounding blood chi began to transform him. It was just that Lu Ding had no idea. Quick, quick, get out of here, quick. Grand Supreme's voice was faintly discernible. Perhaps it was because his voice was too soft that Lu Ding could not hear what Grand Supreme was trying to say. Lu Ding was dumbfounded. If Ruo Lin and Lei Lei were here, they would probably be amused by the two of them. Die! Swooshy moved. At that moment, the Grand Supreme's dazed expression disappeared. It was replaced by ruthlessness and brutality. He even felt that he was no longer a human being. Lu Ding felt that Grand Supreme was more like a ferocious beast that only knew how to kill. You? Grand Supreme, you clang? The moment the weapons clashed, Lu Ding was sent flying. He flew in the air, forming a perfect parabola. In the end, he landed perfectly on the ground. Dong, dong, dong. He landed on the ground. He did not hold the spear in his hand tightly, and it slipped out of his hand. To Lu Ding, being sent flying in one move, he was shocked, angry, and embarrassed. What was going on? He was supposed to bring the city's disciples here to train. What was he doing now? He was being oppressed one-sidedly. Although he did not know Grand Supreme's cultivation level, from the clash just now, there was an obvious difference. It was very obvious. City Lord, what happened to you? A voice filled with worry came from not far away. Hearing this voice, Lu Ding's body trembled. He remembered that he did not come here by himself. Turning around, he did not care about the pain in his body. He shouted towards the entrance. Quick, quick, leave this place. Quick, go back the way you came. No matter what happens here, don't come in again. Tell Wang Yu. Tell him to seal the Dragon Spring secret realm. Inside, no. No. The thought of killing someone rose from the bottom of his heart. At this moment, Lu Ding understood a little why Grand Supreme would kill him at all costs. At this moment, he also understood a little what Grand Supreme wanted to say to him just now. The killing intent in his body grew stronger. Just when he was about to lose his mind, he shouted at the group of disciples again, "Hurry and get lost. I can't control myself anymore." As he spoke, he stood up and stepped towards the spear. He reached out his hand, and the spear flew back into Lu Ding's hand. His eyes were filled with blood as he looked towards the entrance. At this moment, the 20 people should have understood that this was no longer a place that they could bring down. Quickly leave this place. The city lord has lost his mind. The youth at the front understood what was going on. He quickly reminded the people behind him. Then, he quickly turned around and rushed toward the entrance. Quickly leave, quickly. What is going on? Damn, if we leave, what will the city lord do? For a moment, although there were discussions, their bodies were very honest. At this moment, a group of people was rushing towards the exit. The 20 people were originally at the exit, so soon, more than 10 people had stepped into the exit vortex. Get up. Suddenly, a murderous voice was heard. A youth who was a distance away from the exit vortex was terrified. Hearing the voice that was very close to him, he did not dare to turn around and wanted to leave. Unfortunately, Poochie, the sound of flesh being crushed was heard. The figure that was rushing forward was instantly frozen in place. He looked down with a ferocious face and saw the tip of the spear coming out of his chest. His eyes were filled with disbelief. When he turned around, he saw a ferocious face and blood-red eyes appear in front of him. "You! Why did you?" As soon as he finished speaking, his voice suddenly stopped. His head tilted and he lost all signs of life. Fortunately, with this, the 19 people in front successfully rushed out of the exit vortex. However, they probably did not know that when they came in, their bodies were already bathed in the evil blood chi. Even if they did not lose their minds, as their cultivation increased, the inner demons in their hearts would become more and more serious. In the end, they would be devoured by the inner demons. Chapter 1364. Kakik. Lu Ding pulled out his long spear and raised his head to look at the exit of the whirlpool. A beast-like sound emerged from Lu Ding's mouth. Swish! His figure rushed forward and disappeared from the bloody battlefield, rushing into the exit of the whirlpool. The Grand Supreme, who had not moved, also did not care about the exit of the whirlpool. He turned around and looked in the direction that Lin Ray had left. A bloodthirsty look flashed in his eyes. "Kill! Kill!" Holding the long sword in his hand, he took a step forward and his figure appeared 1,000 meters away. Then, he took another step and his figure disappeared into the distance. However, Lin Ray, who had left, did not know anything that had happened here. Lin Ray had expected that they might be controlled by the bloody aura. However, he did not expect that this group of people would be controlled without any ability to resist. The Grand Supreme of the Deep Valley was especially so. After all, in Lin Ray's opinion, the Deep Valley was guarding the Dragon Spring's secret realm and should know some things about it. However, he did not expect that this place was very different from the previous Dragon Spring secret realm. In the depths of the bloody battlefield, Lin Ray and his group walked on the bloody ground. Looking at the mountains of corpses and the sky filled with blood, Lao Bai and his family inexplicably had the thought of leaving. This place was too terrifying for the two of them, especially when they passed by a few corpses just now. Those corpses emitted a faint golden light, which made Lao Bai tremble. Although he could not see the cultivation of the person when he was alive from the corpses, he could roughly guess that this person's cultivation must have exceeded the crepe myrtle realm. Subconsciously, Lao Bai activated his full strength and blasted at the corpses. However, in the end, nothing was left, not even a trace was left on the corpses. In Linley's opinion, Senior White's actions were laughable. He had tried to persuade Senior White earlier, but unfortunately, Senior White didn't know how to cherish it. Now, if Senior White wanted to leave, then Linley would absolutely not escort him. As for the worries of Lao Bai's family of 3, in his opinion, it was completely unnecessary. However, the Scarlet Flame Tiger was different. It was not easy for it to find a companion, so it naturally would not let the other party go so easily. With a thought, Lin Fan took out a fist-sized demonic core from his storage ring, which was emitting a shocking amount of spiritual chi. He handed it to Old White and said with a smile, "Here, this can raise your strength by a few levels. With this, you'll have some protection here. Of course, the most important thing is that absorbing the demon cores here and fighting for a long time will not affect your Tao Foundation at all. In fact, it will be beneficial." When Xiao Chun heard the Scarlet Flame Tiger's words, he lowered his head and looked at the demonic core in its hand. Suddenly, a horrifying might surged out from the demonic core. This was the pressure that came from the demonic beast, the pressure that came from the bloodline, and the pressure that came from the cultivation base. This gulp, looking at the demon core, Senior White swallowed his saliva with great difficulty. His eyes were filled with passion. To be honest, he really needed these things. They were much better than medicinal pills. After all, medicinal pills were 30% poisonous. However, demonic cores were different, especially for demonic cores of this level. If he could refine them, he would benefit immensely. You gave it to me. What about you?" "Pfft, Lin Ray, who was walking in front, suddenly burst out laughing. There was no other reason than Senior White's words. What was Xiao Hu's level? Even if he had tens of thousands of such low-level demonic cores, it would still be useless. More importantly, why would this brat have such trash in his storage ring? Thinking of this, he locked his gaze on the scarlet flame tiger with a questioning look in his eyes. Looking at Lin Ray's question, the scarlet flame tiger smiled awkwardly. He scratched his head and explained, "Brother Lay, I left this behind in the past. However, after my strength increased tremendously, I did not use it. Later on, I completely forgot about this thing. I only found it when I was packing up some time ago." Saying this, he did not care whether Senior White accepted it or not. He directly stuffed the demon core into Senior White's hand and quickly walked 2 steps forward to walk with Lin Ray. Behind them, looking at the demonic core in his hand, Senior White's eyes became more determined. "Don't worry, Brother Tiger. I will become stronger." Saying this, he put the demonic core into his storage ring. Only a fool would directly entrust such a high-level demonic core to him. Of course, there was another result, which was that he was desperate and did not care about his life. Otherwise, who would be so bored as to seek death? Ding! Discovered a heavenly treasure, a 100,000-year-old heavenly silkworm, Ganoderma King. 100,000-year-old? Lin Ray suddenly stopped. Mao Xing was puzzled. In response, the few people behind him also stopped. Where is it? Although he did not know what the heavenly silkworm Ganoderma King was, if the system called it a heavenly treasure, it must be extraordinary. He had known that the system's products would be of high quality. Therefore, it was necessary to search for it. After all, he was in the secret realm. If he did not search for it properly, he would be wasting this opportunity. Ding! Investigation fee. 1 look at the exchange points, or middle-grade netherworld jade. Lin Ray. Hearing the system's notification, Lin Ray inexplicably had the urge to beat someone up. 100,000 middle-grade netherworld jade? This is robbery. It was not easy to get some from the old man and the alchemy guild. Now, the system was asking for 100,000 middle-grade netherworld jade. This wasn't bargaining. This was sucking Linley's blood. This was 100,000 middle-grade netherworld jade or the heavenly silkworm, Ganoderma King. Which of the two is more valuable? Ding! The heavenly silkworm, Ganoderma King, is high. Okay, 100,000 middle-grade netherworld jade. With such a huge difference, how could Lin Ray be presumptuous? Moreover, he also wanted to see what the heavenly silkworm, Ganoderma King, was. This was the curiosity of an alchemy master and Lin Ray's passion for heavenly treasures. Ding! 100,000 middle-grade netherworld jade has been deducted. Investigation begins. Please wait. Lin Ray came back to his senses. After regaining his consciousness, Zhang Xian began walking forward as if nothing had happened. Looking at Lin Ray, who was walking ahead, the flaming tiger stepped forward worriedly and asked Lin Ray, "Brother Lay, what should we do next?" Behind them, White and the others were very eager to know the answer. After all, this place was full of dangers, and no one knew what would happen next. However, in response to the flaming tiger's question, Lin Ray glanced at it and said, "I have it. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Just treat it as training." The flaming tiger, White, and his family. Just like that, the flaming tiger and the others did not speak. On the other hand, Lin Ray waited for the system's response. Ding! Investigation completed. Ding! 10,000 meters ahead, at the bottom of the Blood Sea, the heavenly silkworm Ganoderma King is growing. What the hell? In the Blood Sea? Hearing the system's words, Lin Ray was dumbfounded. So I have to enter the Blood Sea to get the heavenly silkworm Ganoderma King? Ding! Yes, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.